Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody else in between, I'm Ashton Gene Lewis. This is episode 105 of the Broke Boy Sports Podcast. And as always, I'm joined here by Martin Pape. What's up, Martin?
How's it going, Ashton? It seems like we're doing a lot better job keeping count of the episodes than we did 20, 30
Yeah, we'll
episodes
see.
ago when we skipped around. And then we finally decided, like, look, we're just gonna go with it. And we've been doing it. We've been doing it well. We've been killing it. Shout out to all the listeners. What was it? 300 downloads over the past 3 months. That's pretty impressive to you and I, to say the least, when we're just two broke boys just talking about sports. Shout out to everybody that listened to Tuesday's episode. By the way, quickly, we've got a new TikTok. It's Broke Boy Sports on the TikTok. We're going to be posting quick little tidbits and some of the minor things that we talk about on here that Ashton and I both enjoy. But yeah, it's a fun time right now, Ashton. It's a Thursday, October 29th. We got a lot to talk about. But before we get there, we got to give a little shout out to our friends over at Thrive Fantasy. I haven't gotten the graphic yet for this weekend's game, or this Thursday night football game. So here's last Thursday night football. If you wanted to get in on the action, go ahead and download Thrive Fantasy. Use code BrokeBoy. Use code BrokeBoy, and when you put $20 down, you'll get $20 right back. You can download it on the Google Apps, Google App Store, the Apple App Store.
One
It's
day, one day he'll get it.
it's almost like I even said it in my head, like, don't fuck it up this time, don't fuck it up this time, and I still did, Ashton. But yeah, it's about props. It's not just about, it's a little different take on the DFS action, and it's a pretty cool thing to be a part of. We are recording early on Thursdays now so that we can tune in to the Thursday night game. We've actually got a decent one tonight on Thursday Night Football, Ashton. Got, was it the Falcons and Panthers, the 1-6 Falcons,
Yeah,
who
a team
nobody
that we
knows how to
actually
play.
like.
Yeah, and then the Panthers, who you and I, we might have to we might have to trash the Panthers in order for them to win, because as you and I mentioned on Tuesday, we're kind of jinxing the Panthers or Carolina right now, because every time we've both been all in on them, they've lost so far this season. But they get the Falcons on Thursday Night Football. It should be interesting in Carolina tonight. So yeah, it's gonna kick things off. We're gonna get to NFL Week 8 action in just a bit. Ashton, this episode is called the No Fun Police. We're going to get to why we're calling it that in a couple of minutes. But as we do every single Thursday episode, we kick it off with what's popping in quarantine, as we're now into deep October, almost November, and we're still talking about COVID-19. So what's popping in the world of sports for you?
So I'll take this from. I'll make this one pretty simple. It's about one thing only: retirement. Khabib Nurmagomedov, one of the greatest of our time. Some people argue the greatest. John Jones would disagree. That's up for debate when it's all said and done for John Jones, I guess. Um, but yeah, Khabib Nurmagomedov, one of the best. Although short-lived in his time in the UFC, one of the best to ever put on the gloves. And on Saturday night, well, Saturday afternoon for some people, but Saturday night for most of us, he went out and won his 29th consecutive MMA bout, and it was versus Justin Gaethje, thus unifying his title and becoming the lightweight champion yet again, and then subsequently retiring immediately afterwards. Because if you know anything about Khabib's history, and a lot of people, for some reason, Martin, I can't imagine why, a lot of people keep on not referencing exactly why Khabib's dad passed away, but because it's inconvenient for their narrative, especially considering who runs the UFC. But Khabib Nurmagomedov's great dad, who trained a lot of fighters in Dagestan, but in particular trained Khabib Nurmagomedov to become the great fighter that he is today, passed away sadly because he not only had heart conditions, he had heart surgery, and then he also passed away because he contracted COVID-19 after some heart complications, and it was a bad look. We said R.I.P. Rest in peace to Khabib's dad on this show many a time, and we also, we were a little shook about it, man, because it was bad times. And they said they put him in a coma. They put him in a chemically induced coma and everything like that to try and save his life, and to no avail. So Khabib, teary-eyed, and for once in his entire time as an MMA fighter, sad,
Yeah.
truly heartbroken, truly saddened on the arena, in the cage, bent over crying, a truly iconic photo. And he said he promised his mom he wasn't going to fight anymore, and he did. He's done. So it was really cool to he's always come off like a mythical type character. He is the dude like from Russia, whether you guys want to believe it or not. Dagestan in Russia and everything that goes along with that is an interesting backstory and like existence in Dagestan for sure. But Khabib Nurmagomedov is one of the greatest of our time in it, and he comes off like an honorable person, like as an honorable mixed martial artist, and I respect that a lot. And then of course his style is just very similar to George St. Pierre, and why I like GSP so much as I'm sorry, George Rush St. Pierre so very much as an MMA fighter is because he didn't beat dudes down. He broke people's souls. Like he ground their souls into dust. He broke their will to continue to compete because of just how relentless he was. And Khabib, if that's not a metaphor for life, I don't know what is. But yeah, that's what he, that's what his existence was all about. And sad to say, we won't get to see him fight anymore. And he's one away from that perfect 30-0. And maybe it's just me as a sports guy. Maybe it's just me as a person, as a human being. But being one win away from a nice, clean 30-0, it's got to be nagging to a certain degree. And it'd be interesting to see if he comes back when it's all said and done. He says he's done, but he's also, before the retirement situation, entertained the idea of fighting George St. Pierre, the guy I mentioned before, two of the greatest fighting each other. But yeah, it was.
It would have been cool
It
to
was a,
see him on the Connor and Dustin Poirier. You know, have GSP
two
versus
guys that he's
like after like
significantly
post
better than.
retirement. Yeah, like
Okay.
after retirement, like retirement counts. Like you're moved on because apparently they're gonna have like a little mini tournament for the lightweight belt now. I was never the biggest Khabib fan, to be completely honest. Uh, just never. I mean, Ashton says he loves his fight style on that. I never really like just enjoyed watching the fights that he was. I put him with Kamaru Usman and a couple of the other ones where, yeah,
It's
they're
because
champions.
literally nobody's even close to as good as either one of those
Yeah,
guys.
I
That's
mean
why.
maybe Usman that's debatable, but Khabib I just never really liked their fight. I rather people go out there and like stand in the middle of the ring and actually like not try and go to the judge's decision. But as time went on, of course, you have to recognize greatness. Even everybody's haters, Kobe's haters, LeBron's haters, MJ's haters, Peyton Manning's haters, Tom Brady haters. You have to acknowledge at especially when the careers come to an end, you have to acknowledge how great they were for the sport. Khabib was an absolutely amazing person in the sport. He was what a lot of fighters aspire to be, fucking perfect from the start to the finish, and nobody can take that away from him. I don't think he ever had a like a controversial anything. He never. I don't think he ever.
The only time he's ever been beaten is by himself, and it was because of the weight cut situation
Yeah,
at one time. His greatest enemy, Khabib's greatest nemesis, was obviously tiramisu. If you are an MMA fan, you get that joke. But yeah, he's a big fan. So, but yeah, I mean, he's never been cut
yeah.
in
That was one of the
like
things. Like
that's
I used to say
insane.
he was a bitch, Ashton. Like you're not. I've got it on record on this show of calling him a bitch, and then when I found out that he's never even been fucking cut, I was like, all right, I'm wrong. I can admit I'm wrong. Like, I do not like his fighting style, but the fact that he's never been cut in fucking 30 plus or however many fights, dude, it's fucking ridiculous. He's gonna be missed.
Not even that stupid fucking bear could cut him.
Yeah,
That's how
exactly.
indestructible Khabib is.
Yeah,
Somewhere that bear is shaking his fist at a television screen. He's just like, I will have my revenge.
yeah,
If you've never seen that video, Khabib used to wrestle bears as a kid.
yeah.
He wrestled like a bear cub. So yeah.
And there's already a couple of up and coming Dagestanians that are ready to take his place as like the pride of Dagestan. That's gonna probably go on a run of their own. I mean, was it his cousin? Or no, it's not his cousin. It's just the guy that
It's
has the same
Saeed.
last name.
Yeah, Saeed Nurmagomedov. They're friends, but his cousin did get signed.
Yeah.
His
Okay.
his cousin's Urman. And then there's another guy that out of AKA Islam who's pretty good. When they say it's pretty good, he's pretty good. It's just about putting it all together for him. But yeah, it was something, man, because it almost came out of nowhere, but to a certain degree, his mom said he's got to do it, so he's got to do it. Don't matter how tough you are, you can be the baddest man on the planet. Your mom said you got to do it, you got to do it.
Yeah.
So,
Everybody
uh,
knows what Mama says is what goes. So it is what it is. You could see like just watching him fight and like the lead up to it and everything. You could tell. I mean, obviously he lost his dad and how important he was, but you could just tell like just by looking at him and everything that like he just wasn't mental. Like he wasn't. He wasn't the same. Like he was the same Khabib inside the ring and the domination factor, and I think it kind of exposed Justin Gaethje to how he's not. Obviously, nobody has been on Khabib's level, but I think Justin got exposed a little bit in that fight.
And then don't forget Justin's background is wrestling. Like
Yeah.
his primary style is wrestling. So, yeah, it was something for sure because it was domination like from
Yeah.
like every single fight we've ever seen from him basically. So,
I mean, he took him down. I mean, it was what the first or second takedown in the entire fight in the second round, and 30 seconds later, he tapped what did they count? He tapped 4 times, and the referee didn't see it once, and then eventually Khabib looked up at him. He's like, he's out, and
yeah,
you
yeah,
see
yeah.
that shot of Justin, like his eyes open, just slowly
Yeah,
going
that's
down to
rough,
the
man.
ground. Yeah.
It's been a weird year in MMA, and like not gonna lie, man, because you don't had fights called too early, had
Couple fights go too
people give
long.
it, yeah, people give time for nut shots that didn't happen
Yep.
that eventually led to a fighter losing. Had some bad officiating. It's been wild. Oh, and then of course the judges have been. I mean,
They've been all over the place.
maybe it's just me, man. It feels like it's like worse than ever before,
Mm-hmm.
and it's wild, man. It truly is. But anyway,
Yeah.
um, just something to think about, man. Anyway, that's all I have for what's popping in quarantine, man. Shout out to Khabib. Shout out to the Eagle on one of the greatest MMA careers known to MMA kind. Because if you know anything about mixed martial arts, you step in that cage, it's hard to get like a 4 fight win streak. It's hard to get a 6 fight win streak. To get 29 consecutive
Never
wins,
lost.
never lost.
Yeah.
Khabib never lost Nurmagomedov.
That could have been his
But yeah, and
nickname.
then on top, yeah, really, that would be hilarious if he changed to never lost.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure LeVar Ball would find some way to be like, I'm gonna sue you for
I'm gonna
that,
sue
even though
your
he
ass.
didn't say it.
Yeah.
Even though he never said it, it was Keenan Thompson imitating him on Saturday Night Live, I believe. So he would be like, "That was me.
Yeah.
I did that. I told them that line." Anyway,
Now,
but
does
yeah, shout out to
really quickly before we move on, does Khabib have a son or a daughter or anything that could
Khabib has
possibly?
kids, right? I
I don't.
think he
That's
has
what I'm saying.
kids.
He might. Does he have any kids that we need to keep an eye on for 10, 20 years down the line? That's gonna continue the legacy. Like,
He's
is he
got
gonna become
cousins,
his
and
dad type of thing?
man, I think that's something that I think that's something that's like blatantly apparent. Like you talk about the gym that he fights out of, like he fights out of AKA, right? American Kickboxing Academy, and and there's a lot of Dagestan dudes that look up to him, right? Like dudes that are just straight up from Dagestan, and then of course, like pretty much any good fighter on the face of the planet is going to look up to him. And I think he's shown himself to be multiple times over, and we can talk about this later when we get to media suggestions. Just everything that Daniel Cormier talked about that Khabib's already focused on. He's already looking ahead to like somebody else to carry the torch. So he's gonna find somebody, whether it's his kid or somebody else that's got it right now. But it'll be cool to see, man. Because once again, Dagestan is just shitting out fighters like left and
Yeah, it's
right.
crazy.
And
It's like
and
it's just a factory.
at some point we're gonna have to talk about what Dagestan is, but I guess that point is not now. You should definitely go look it up on a Real Sports. It's Real Sports with Brian Gumble. They have a whole special on Dagestan and everything that they are about. So you should go check that out. Maybe I put that in media suggestions too, because need to educate the fans as to what we're talking about, as to why we never pick against Dagestan fighters.
Yeah.
So like, anyway, go ahead, Martin. You
All
got
right.
what's popping in quarantine too,
Yeah.
man.
That's what's popping for Ashton. For me, I had a couple of things to choose from, but I decided to go with this one just because I saw it earlier today, and of course it kind of blew up really quickly on the Twitter. 2K is Visual Concepts and whoever else is involved with making 2K announced some new WNBA focused game modes. Ashton, kind of cool. They're available on the next gen consoles, so the new PlayStation 5 and the Xbox console. That's actually a couple of days away, a couple of weeks and a couple of days away for each of those getting released. If you follow some people on Twitter, they're already starting to get their free consoles to start playing on their Twitch streams and stuff like that. And if anybody wants to send
Not
me
us.
one, I'm
Not
just
us.
saying.
Yes.
I'm
Not
just
us
saying.
yet.
You could send me an Xbox and Ashton a PlayStation if you want. We'll
Don't
we'll
send me
try
the
a couple of
PlayStation.
games out.
Don't send me the PlayStation.
Oh, you don't like PlayStation?
Uh, None of my friends have PlayStation, so
Yeah, me either. All my friends, or actually, I got a couple of. I know people that play PlayStation. My friends have
right,
Xboxes. That's
right.
how it goes in my circle because we all got hooked on Halo, and that I never looked back at any other console. But
A exclusive wars. You know
hell
what it
yeah,
is,
hey,
baby.
it got me sold on it. I was actually a PlayStation fanboy up until Halo.
No,
This
every system I had until Xbox 360 came out was a PlayStation.
Yeah.
So
Um,
yeah.
so yeah, it's going to be I think three different modes that are focused just on the WNBA. One's called the W, and anybody that's played the My Player mode in regular 2K, it's going to be that, but a woman. You can play as a woman main character through the whole career mode. She gets her own story. Um, Yet I I was reading like the customization you can put on it. It's almost more than what you could do with a male character, which I think is kind of interesting. Um, and then there's also the W Online, which is literally you take your My Player career person and you play them online. And then also there's going to be a franchise mode for the WNBA. I think they tried this in the past, right?
So so there was like a huge op-ed piece that got written about this, and basically they tried to like land-based NBA 2K for what they did last year,
Mhm.
which was set up a season mode, that a franchise mode like this, where you can play like you control one WNBA team. The rosters were not updated. It only lets you play through one season, which
Yep.
is not the point of franchise mode at all. You play through one season, and then it wasn't like a full schedule or anything like that. So it was like really whack. It was just like, they just put it in there at the end because it really didn't get announced with the main parts of
Yeah.
the game. It got announced towards the end when they released the game and everything like that. And this looks like they went out and did the full damn thing.
Mhm.
So hopefully all those the game designers are getting paid what they deserve, man. Because I know they be running those dudes into the
The ground.
ground.
Yeah.
They run those guys and gals into the ground, my dude. It is insane because they. So if you don't know, in gaming right now, pretty much every major title is still releasing the current generation systems game, and it sucks ass. Like I literally haven't played 2K21 since I picked it up because they're like it feels like they didn't put any effort into it,
Mhm.
and they just kind of changed the way things look, and they kind of changed the way things look. There's no like cutscenes where you talk to agents, cutscenes where you talk to representatives from different teams to make it kind of feel like it's like all done through like text boxes,
Mm.
and they moved everybody on to like the next gen. Once like 2K21 on the regular gen got pushed out, they moved all those designers to 2K21 for the next generation, and I guess they're going to be adding, and some of the video clips that came out are insane.
Mhm.
Like on the video quality, if you go check out 2K21's Twitter account, they have all those videos and everything like that. It is insane the kind of stuff that they put into that game and what it looks like now. Hopefully, Madden gets the same makeover because it sounds like Madden is hot garbage right now, and
Oh
it
yeah.
could use some redemption. It could use some redemption, I think, Martin. And if they just turn it up to like a whole nother level for the next wave. Also, 2K21 heavily anticipating what's coming next. There is going to be, they have competition coming in. Like there's going to be another NBA Live that comes back, supposedly.
That'd be
So we'll
dope.
see. But
I'm
yeah,
looking at the ESPN article. It says they've got all 12 franchises, and you can play as one or up to 12 if you want, and then
right.
multiple seasons. But I don't see them mentioning if they're gonna have like the legitimate rosters, which I
Yeah,
don't know
they
how I
will.
don't know how they could do that without if they're gonna
Yeah,
have multiple
Martin.
teams. They
They
should have
they
the
will.
players,
They
right?
already they already revealed like overalls for
Mm.
they revealed overalls for like Sue Bird, Diana
Yeah,
Taurasi, the
Diana
highest
Taurasi's
rated
91.
yeah, the highest rated player in the game for the WNBA side is Breonna Stewart, who is considered to be, if you're a WNBA fan or just like a basketball fan in general, they like she's the female version of KD.
Yeah.
That's the level of skill. She's a 95 overall. So she's the highest rated player in the game, which means you guessed it, guys. Sue Bird is like 93 or something like that. So, the Seattle Storm are like OP as fuck. I will say Asia Wilson, who is the reigning MVP for the Las Vegas Aces, I think she's like a 92 or something like that. So check her out. Also, they should have Liz Cambage back in the game because this past year she was injured and you couldn't play with her,
Hmm.
and she's like the second best player in the WNBA any given year. So she's also like one of the tallest. So she's like the most like in the paint. She's like a beast. But yeah, the base. Hopefully Liz is healthy and 100%. on this upcoming game because it makes no fucking sense that she wasn't in the last one because
Yeah.
it's a fucking video game. It's just like it's like when you play my player in 2K21, and you play it on my team, like Steph Curry and Klay Thompson they're hurt,
Yeah.
and you have to like go and put them into the lineup or whatever. But when you play them in my player in career mode games, they're not hurt. And the same thing with like Kevin Durant,
Yeah, that makes
and the
sense.
same thing with Kyrie Irving. It's so stupid. It's so interesting how they make those choices. I'm like, why would you remove those players from the game completely?
Yeah.
Like this is it's so dumb. Anyway,
But people want that realistic stuff. But Ashton, I think this is pretty cool. It's a
it's a
big.
huge step for it's a
Oh yeah.
huge step forward just in
Word down my
general because
mouth.
it's fucking representation, bro.
Yeah.
Like that's what it is. It's representation for legitimate. And then on top of that, like we talked about this before, right? We talked about like there's two leagues that have actually done well during the quarantine. It is the UFC, which I'd love to see what the other fight leagues are, because one championship is back and one championship is like the biggest competition the UFC has right now. Bellator's back and everything like that. I'd love to see the competition that they have. But overall, it's the UFC and the WNBA. The WNBA had a 14% increase in viewership. I'm glad we brought up ratings because I feel like that may become up a little bit later on. But yeah, this is huge, man. And hopefully it brings a whole new group of people to the game. Hopefully, and I already know what's going to happen, bro. Like somebody's going to mod it to make it into like this super inappropriate version of the game. Like they already have mods where you can play as the cheerleaders.
Rule 32.
There's gonna be like a lot. Yeah, if that's deep internet shit. But yeah, no, there's a shout out to Rebecca Sugar. Anyway,
yeah, there's going to be people. This is also a big middle finger to the people that just shit on the WNBA and women's athletics in
all the
general.
time.
Like,
Yeah, for sure.
like I can only imagine the dude sitting in his basement right now, pissed off that women are getting a video, or like gonna get focused on a video game. Because
Women getting representation,
right,
not on my watch,
not
motherfucker.
right. Like, I feel sorry for those people, man. They're like almost they're basically are the scum
It's
of
just
the.
like what did women do to you to make you hate them so very much?
Yep.
It begs the question because it's like you more than likely have a mom,
Yeah.
and you like the way that women look. So like, why do you think lesser of women? It's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, we could go down that one eventually. Maybe on another episode we'll go down on that one, Asher. But that's what's popping for me. I think it's really cool. If I had the money, or if I had like the expendable money, I would probably maybe, if I also had a next gen console, I would probably maybe check it out, just to see because, like you said, it was in last year's game a little bit, and the it was actually
the
kind of
level
fun.
that there was a lot of people who got pissed about it because so this is the one thing that I feel like is going to happen, and it's stupid as fuck. The one thing that was in the op-ed piece that I read about, that I told you about, that I read in regards to like the WNBA version of NBA 2K, it almost made it like unplayable because of like how little you could actually do with WNBA stars. They just put them into the game and say, "Hey, look, this game has the WNBA players," and they just like tried to get it off their clout, and that fucking sucks, right? But the other thing was just like the graphics of how women's breasts bounce when they run,
Yeah,
and I'm
it
like,
was so
guys,
weird.
like and it was the article I read was written by a woman, and I was like, dude, like women have breasts, and when they run up and down, they move up and down. Like even in a sports bra, they move around.
Yeah.
And if you know any woman who works out, they will tell you that. So like, don't try. Like this is another thing where it's like you sexual. Like some dudes just like sexualize women immediately, no matter what they do, even if it's just like I'm just trying to play a sport or work out. You immediately sexualize the existence of a woman. Anyway,
Yeah.
and trust me, as a dude with man boobs, I can tell you that they move up and
Oh
down
yeah,
all
for
the
sure.
time.
I mean, dude, sometimes I'll look up in the playback monitor I have here, and I'll be moving around, and I'll see my tits moving around. You know what I'm saying? Like
I'm just saying, man.
it's a
Like,
part
hey,
of life, you know?
my thing is like y'all ruin it for everybody because like if you like boobs, stop talking about them, and you'll get to see more boobs. Like, just think about that for a
Yeah.
second. I'm just saying, like, hashtag free the nipple. Like, we need to be
Hell
on
yeah.
this train, guys. Like, if anyway, some people just counteract their own very existence and for their own well-being because it's just like the second that you stop making it weird, everybody else will stop making it weird, and we can all have a good time.
Yeah.
So,
That's what's
hey,
popping, Ashton. Let's move on to what is another staple of this show: best of the best, worst of the worst. You got best of the best this week. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Derrick Brown?
man, we keep talking about Derrick Brown on this podcast, Martin. I think he may be one of my favorite players in the NFL now. Former Auburn defensive tackle, one of the big dudes up front, and he's been getting better every single week. And this is his first year in the NFL, and I mean, Martin, we can sit here and talk about like there's certain dudes in the NFL that they stay exactly the same. Like they're the exact same person that they were when they got drafted. Some of them gotten worse. Derrick Brown is getting better very quickly in the NFL, and God damn it, he restored my faith in humanity this past week. He spent 50,000 of his own dollars to buy costumes for kids in Charlotte.
Didn't
So
have to.
they can have a good Halloween. Didn't have to. So they can have a good Halloween. And you know, some people just don't get it because like some people don't have kids or whatever. But and some of you guys don't realize how bad other kids have it, right? Like even in America, because people love to talk about how great America is and look and reference other countries and everything like
You mean
that, right?
propaganda?
No, I mean like even before. Yeah, okay, so like to that credit, I didn't even realize I said that. But yeah, but even before that part, you know, like even like long before that, people talk about like, oh man, you like America's great because of how bad it is other places, and I'm like, I mean, it doesn't mean it can't be better. Like there's still kids in America, like in the middle of fucking Alabama, in Texas, in Houston, that are gonna go to sleep tonight without food,
Yep.
like without water, without power in their house. Like there's people who live in huts. Like they live in the equivalent of huts, right? Like they live in houses that don't have floors. But yeah, Derrick Brown took some money and helped a couple of kids have a better Halloween. I actually saw that Deshaun Watson took some kids on a shopping spree today here in Houston in Foot Locker. So shout out to him for that, as usual, man. But like Derrick Brown, love to see it. We really do. We love to see it because it's like the little things like that costume that they're only gonna wear for like a day.
Yeah.
It's gonna go a long way. It's
They'll
gonna go a
remember
long
that.
way. It'll be yeah, they're gonna remember that, and it's gonna help. It's gonna put positive energy into the world, and it's gonna help a kid have something close to normal, even in a time when we're not in a pandemic. That would still be amazing to give to a kid. It means even more now when kids are stuck at home and they can't go hang out with their friends, or kids are gonna try and go trick or treating, and there's just gonna not be houses that are gonna answer the door when they ring it. Which, by the way, y'all, just put the candy outside, dog.
Yeah.
It's not that. Put the candy in the bag and keep it moving. Don't look over here. Keep it moving. I'm just saying, man, you don't have to hand out candy to the kids and all that kind of stuff, bro. Like, just litter. We can all have a good time and be safe on Halloween. It don't have to be weird or anything like that. But yeah, I just want to give a shout out to Derrick Brown. That was real nice of him, man. I know other people have done some good things and amazing things as well. I just saw Derrick Brown as the first one last night. So go ahead.
Also, something cool about Derrick Brown, he wore a single digit in college for.
Yeah, he was number 5, right?
Yeah, number 5. He,
Yeah, yeah.
I always love. You gotta love the big defensive lineman that wears single digits or in the NCAA or college football, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it has nothing to do with the story except it's just one of those things I'll always remember him wearing the number 5 and being like 300 pounds. Like the
Yeah.
5 barely like visible and stuff. They had to like give him almost like a custom jersey to get it to fit on there because normally the number 5 is a small for the wide receiver or whatever. But
Exactly.
shout out to Derrick Brown, $50,000 to the kids for costumes in
For the
Charlotte.
kids, man. Derrick Brown for the kids, man. Wu Tang for the kids, man.
So that's best of the best. We move on to worst of the worst. I've got it this week, Ashton, and this one, when I will be admitted, I will admit this. I didn't watch a single second of the
And
World
we'll talk.
Series.
I tell you what, Martin, you weren't alone
Oh,
in that. You
trust
weren't
me.
alone in not watching the World Series, and we'll talk
Was it
about that a
because
little
they
bit
were
later.
so woke? Hmm? Anyways, Justin Turner and the Los Angeles Dodgers are the worst. Or actually, it's just really Justin Turner, according to the what's come out since
I
since
mean,
it
you could
happened.
also put the MLB. You could put the MLB out there for throwing them under the bus like that.
Well,
But
yeah.
yeah.
So there's an investigation underway. For those that don't know, Justin Turner is a player for the Dodgers. They found out during the game, I believe the
Really
seventh
good
inning.
player and a starter. Sorry,
Yeah, one of
he's
the.
a starter. Like
Yeah,
he's in the batting line. He's really good. Yeah.
yeah, he's admittedly very good. Pulled from the game in the sixth inning because they found out that he tested positive on one of the COVID tests that he took before the game, and so
Okay. So Martin, do you know the full timeline of this?
he got tested.
He
Got
got
removed.
tested the day before.
Yeah.
They sent it to Utah.
Yep.
His test was inconclusive. They redid his sample, and it was still like it didn't have any information. It was going to take too long, and then they tested him using one of the highly accurate instant test or whatever,
Hmm.
and they came back 2 hours later or whatever while they were in the game in the sixth inning, like you mentioned, and they're like, "You got COVID," and they pulled him out.
Yep.
So if you want to hear the full timeline, you want to hear the full timeline, check out ESPN Daily. They talked to Jeff Passan. Pablo Torre talked to Jeff Passan. He puts like all the details in, and it just makes you pissed off
Yeah.
because it's like this makes no fucking sense right
Yeah.
now.
It's
Just
literally a
like it did.
big middle
Yeah,
finger to the whole protocol.
yeah.
Because
I'm
it's
sorry, Martin. I didn't mean to
no,
interrupt you.
it's
Go
no,
ahead,
no,
man.
that's cool. So it went tested, retested, pulled from the game, went into isolation. Dodgers win. He comes out of isolation. MLB security is like, you can't go out. You have literally tested positive for COVID. You have to stay isolated. He may or may not have said "fuck you" and
Oh,
went
he
out and
said something.
yeah, he did something. He didn't just like he basically leaves isolation after MLB security says you can't do that. Goes out on the field, wears a mask for a couple minutes, and then the team
And
picture is taken.
everybody, while everybody on fucking Twitter knows that he has tested positive.
Yeah, the whole world,
Everybody on Twitter,
everybody like
everybody on Twitter knows that he's tested positive, including the people who are watching the TV broadcast. Because right before they started handing out the trophies, they said Justin Turner got pulled from the game because he tested positive for
yeah,
COVID-19. Moved right along, cut to Rob Manfred, who looked like he was either drunk as fuck or had never been booed a single day in his life because those Dodgers fans were like, "Fuck you," and I was like, "Wow." Houston and LA
finally
on the
agree on
same
something.
page. Who would have thought? Look at us.
Yeah,
Paul Rudd meme.
yeah,
Look at us.
look at us, look at
Look
us.
at us.
Also, while we're doing the look at us, the verbal meme, Spider-Man, Astros logo on top of one face, Dodgers logo on pointing at each other with the World Series with a little asterisk next to it because this one wasn't. I'm putting an asterisk on this World Series because this one wasn't a full season. It was a quick 60 days. It is what it is. The whole
60
World Series was played.
games, Martin. You
Whole
said days. Wow, you're out here
huh?
wilding. You said 60 days. It was
Oh,
60 games.
60
Calm down.
games, whatever.
Calm it down. Yeah.
Same thing. Not not. I mean, if you guys are gonna put an asterisk in 2017 for the Astros beating on some fucking trash cans, we're putting an asterisk next to the 2021 for not playing over 160 games or wherever the fuck you
So what
play in
you're saying
baseball.
is the current reigning champions are still the Washington Nationals.
For
Congratulations,
sure,
guys.
yeah.
We're
Hell
the
yeah,
only
we are
the only true
recognizing it.
champions of Major League Baseball is the Washington Nationals.
But
No,
back,
but I was gonna say so. Everybody knows on the TV broadcast. Everybody on Twitter is like, how did the fuck did this happen? Ken Rosenthal's tweeting out. His fingers are probably bleeding
oh
at
my
this point
god,
with how much he's tweeting. And me and Martin are like, yo, that motherfucker is out there on the field right now with the mask off, around, like literally on top of the trophy, next to his teammates, next to his cancer surviving manager. Like, yo, what up, world? We world champions, baby. He's a Dodgers fan. He's a childhood long Dodgers fan. And I tweeted out, I was like, oh man, I feel bad, dude. He's like a huge ass fan and he don't get to celebrate. And Justin Turner was like,
nah.
he's like, couldn't be me.
Yeah,
And
so he pulled
he's like,
he pulls the mask down and like there's the now famous picture of his manager kind of leaning in and like literally 2 feet away from him. The guy to his, I guess to his left, to the picture's right, is literally like leaning the opposite way of Justin Turner in the picture. He's like, man, I'm trying my best not to catch this shit. But going back to the investigation, the MLB says he is. There was an agreement made before the season, obviously, with the Players Association and MLB on what would happen if someone broke protocol. However, Ashton, there's nothing specified in the agreement about what the penalty can be. So, do you want
so
to sit here real
Martin,
quick and?
Martin, Martin, Martin.
Hmm,
Technically, the season was over when he broke protocol.
I
The
guess,
last
yeah,
out
true,
had been caught
true.
when Justin Turner went out onto the field. So, like, the deal is null and void by the instant that they are named champions, I believe, and the season is over. The
So
final,
it's the MLB's fault for not agreeing to post game protocol or post season, I guess, protocol breaking. Because who would have thought that a player that just tested positive and found out
10
during the
seconds
game
after.
would leave the isolation to go celebrate with his team? Like, bro, you could literally wait until you test negative and then celebrate. Like, it's not like you're still gonna be champions, right? Like, you're still gonna have that World Series with an asterisk next to it in 14 days time from now or whenever you test negative for it. But there's no precedent for a suspension or anything, Ashton. So do you are you on the same page with me and think that he's not going to get punished at all?
Oh, of course not. I mean,
And here's the
Major League
thing.
Baseball. Hold on, Martin. I was like, Major League Baseball found out that there was like a highly elaborate cheating scandal going on within their sport, and with like involving multiple cameras, trash cans being banged, recording of information, spreadsheets documenting what hand signals are associated with what pitches, and of course, like all the calculations that go into making the Astros a great organization at the time. And we can have a discussion about like the material that was used to make it great. We can have a discussion about like, did the trash cans make the Astros great? Because there's a big argument for no, it didn't. But nonetheless, after finding out all that information, Martin, they suspended two guys for a year.
Yep. Yep. So here's the thing.
Like,
Here's the thing. So Dodgers fans and basically any fan of any team other than the Astros.
it's all good, baby. You can do whatever you want. The punishment will never fit the crime in Major League Baseball.
Here's the thing. They were so mad that there was no punishment for the Astros cheating and whatever. Are they going to be mad if Justin Turner doesn't get any sort of punishment for breaking COVID protocol? I'll wait. I'll wait. That's all we've got to say about that one because we both know what's going to happen. We both know that they're going to basically contradict themselves and hate the Astros for not getting punished while also celebrating Justin Turner breaking COVID-19 protocol. Which one's worse, do you think, Ashton? Breaking a protocol after testing positive for a disease or banning on some trash cans? Um, it's really no comparison. If he doesn't get punished, I don't really care. I mean, honestly, don't really care. Don't care about baseball.
What? Oh no! Oh no, Mark! What's gonna happen? Are you gonna lose more respect for Rob Manfred
Who
that
doesn't
you
have any
didn't
already?
have already?
Yeah, like
that you didn't have.
I mean, it is what it
Oh,
is.
man.
They're
How
gonna do
did
this.
Rob Manfred become the worst commissioner in
Yeah.
all of Major League Sports? Like, was it? It had to, because like in my mind, I never realized like I was like, man, this nigga dumb dog. Like I was just like, this dude is stupid, and you know, it doesn't help that after he found out all that information, he also went out there and gave one of the strangest series of speeches to give the Dodgers their trophies while also being just berated by a
Yeah.
wave of consistent and loud boos. And it's just like, how did we get here? Like, how did we get here to the point where it's just like, oh yeah, no, like we all hate Rob Manfred. Like I think maybe even his wife doesn't like him all that much. No, I'm just kidding. I'd hate to bring people's wives in a certain situation, but nonetheless, it's amazing how quickly we all turned. I will say to he had a year where he completely devalued the World Series. He called it a piece of metal, and then he also followed that up by trying to hustle the players out of millions of dollars so they could go out there and play during a global pandemic and possibly risk catching a disease that could kill them. And also, like, based off what we heard from Freddie Freeman in his situation, they kind of lucked out on that one. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so just something to think about. Just something to think about. Also, Blake Snell, the same dude that everybody was calling a bitch because he didn't want to play during a global pandemic on Twitch. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Remember when he did that 20 years ago? Or 4 months ago, whatever, somewhere in between those two guys, 4 months ago and 20 years ago, Blake Snell did that on Twitch, and people lost their fucking minds. Anyway,
I just last thing on it. It'll be interesting to see how long this investigation lasts for. Um, will they sweep it under the rug? Will they tap him on his like just a little? Don't do that ever again. Don't break
do
protocol. Yeah, it'll be interesting. That's worse or the worst. We move on, Ashton. About a week ago, speaking of COVID-19, Big Ten is back and already losing some games because of COVID-19.
Yeah, you idiots. This is about a week ago. Anybody, check on Bobby Smurder, please. About a week ago, where we talk about something that happened last week and how it's changed drastically in just the span of 7 days, because that's how sports works. Also, that's how like life works in general. We're on a 24-hour news media cycle, and we forget stuff all the time. Like Miami had a situation where they had to suspend 3 dudes because they got into a fight at a frat house.
Ashton, I
And
have a little bit of an update.
okay,
Uh,
shut it down. That's what they're
well, back
shutting
in
it down.
September, Bobby Shmurda was denied parole. Remember, we were talking about
Right.
it was his parole day was coming up or whatever, and he was denied. About a week ago, just over a week ago, actually, TMZ reports that Shmurda was denied parole due to multiple violations with while incarcerated, including alleged drug possession, fighting, and allegedly being in possession of a shank. So Bobby Shmurda not going to be out of prison until at least 2021.
Well, Bobby Shmurda not getting out of jail next
Still
week.
gave
All
us
right.
the one of the dun, dun, dun.
About a week ago,
Yeah.
I know you guys say you tweaking hoe. Anyway, moving on. The legendary song that is hot nigga.
Hot
That
boy, come on, Ashton. I can't say that word. I'm
yeah,
just
I know.
I'm just
That's I just say like what a genius ploy to have like a hip hop song, hit rap song
and
that like most of the
half the
people
people
who
actually
obsess,
yeah.
yeah, more than half. Let's be for
Yeah,
real,
you want
Martin.
to talk
Like
about
white
people
people,
obsessed with rap with like black culture and like rap is white people. There's no
yeah,
discussion on that one.
Martin. It's well known within the black culture that white people like
Yeah.
rap and hip hop more than black people do. But you know, nobody's ready for that conversation. So, uh, moving on. About a week ago, you idiots really thought the Big Ten was going to be able to go through their season without any problems whatsoever. So in case you didn't know, the Big Ten is playing an 8-week conference only schedule, which is smart because it doesn't involve them having to deal with other smaller conferences, lack thereof of testing protocols and also protocols that are different than what the Big Ten deem okay, right? That happens. That's a real thing. But as of now, we're 1 week in and they've already canceled a game. Wisconsin will not be playing Nebraska this Saturday because the Wisconsin Badgers not only have so many cases that they actually had to shut down their facilities. They did it out of an abundance of caution, to their credit. They did it before it reached the 5% threshold, which is where you have to shut everything down for an indefinite amount of time, I believe it is, until you can confirm that cases are going down. But they are also down to their 4-string quarterback, Martin. So
Yeah.
their starter got hurt before the season started, right? Like the senior, the second string guy, Wolf, tested positive, and then Graham Mertz, the guy that most people have heard about because he tore it up against Illinois, and Grandpa Santa Claus, Lovey Smith, and his boys for Illinois, he threw 5 touchdowns against them. And everybody, for the first time ever, had hope for the Wisconsin Badgers because they have a quarterback that they can believe in. He also tested positive. So now they're down to their 4-string redshirt junior quarterback. So yeah, that they shut down the facilities, and because they have too high a number of cases, they've also had to cancel their game with Nebraska. Nebraska tried to pull a fast one. They tried to play Chattanooga, I think it was, this upcoming Saturday, and the Big Ten was like, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Like, they
Somebody
said you.
really quickly, somebody in Wisconsin's athletic department is literally like, does Russell Wilson have any eligibility left? Is Russell Wilson still available? Can we bring him back for a year? Sorry, I was just making a joke about the fact that they don't have a quarterback and Russell Wilson randomly played there for a year.
Yeah, NC State and Wisconsin. Shout out
Yep.
to those 2 schools, the 2 schools that Russell Wilson attended. Anyway,
Little trivia for those that don't know that Russell Wilson attended 2 different colleges and
also
started.
had a also was not dating Sierra at that time. You
Yep.
should go look up that photo as well from draft night with Russell Wilson and how things have changed a lot for Russ.
Yeah.
Martin knows. Martin knows. He's seen the photo.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Anyway, but yeah, 8 weeks, already lost one. So, oh, by the way, the Big Ten has already come out and said this, Martin. They're just going to call those no contest. They're not trying to do the whole make them up later thing.
Yeah.
And the reason, remember, guys, don't forget this, the Big Ten had to come back and they've also had to truncate their schedule because guess what? They think they got a shot at getting a team in for the college football playoffs, which they do. Ohio State's pretty good. Justin Fields pretty good quarterback. Supposed to be number 2 pick, number 1 pick. By the way, I can't wait until people really dig in deep as to how Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence have been Trevor Lawrence's number one, and Justin Fields has been number two to Trevor Lawrence his entire career.
Dating
High
back to like
school,
middle school, high school,
yes,
like all the way
yeah,
back. And it's like when both of them came on the scene in was it Georgia where they both from? When they came on the scene, they literally were compared to each other from the fucking get go, which
and
is
now they're,
crazy.
which is wild to think about. It's just like this motherfucker will never leave me alone.
Yeah,
Forever.
yeah.
Forever. I am cursed to be attached to this person. Hopefully they like each other. I would imagine they're pretty cool. You could even go check them out when they go fight. They go not fight, but like they play at the Elite 11,
Mm-hmm.
which is the super Trent Dilfer's like super duper quarterback conference, super duper quarterback 7-on-7 tournament that he has.
Super Bowl
And
winning quarterback Trent Dilfer.
yeah, Super Bowl winning quarterback Trent Dilfer. To his credit, there have been a lot of really good quarterbacks who have gone to the Elite 11
Oh
and
yeah,
gone on
for
to
sure.
the NFL. Cam Newton and Russell Wilson being two of the big ones there. I think Baker Mayfield did it at one point. Oh no.
Just
They
about any
denied
quarterback.
Baker. No,
Like
Baker
Sam Darnold
Baker
was there.
Trent Dilfer told this story. He told Baker that he was not invited to the Elite 11, and that's actually like one of the things that Baker will never forget. And I'm like, he should not ever
Yeah.
forget that because he made it to the NFL, and whether you can say he's playing good or not, like he's their best option at quarterback right now. So other stuff, but anyway, Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields were like first and second place at the Elite 11. They played each other in the final, and Trevor Lawrence won by like a touchdown, and they have a legit chance of Martin playing each other in the national championship game.
Mm-hmm.
And and if there's any justice in the world, Trevor Lawrence will win the national championship, beating Justin Fields, and Justin Fields will forever be number two to Trevor Lawrence.
Imagine this, Ashton. The New York Jets get the first overall pick, and the New York Giants the second overall pick. Or
this mother.
oh wait, I was gonna say Miami, but Miami's got Tua. I was gonna say Miami gets Houston's number 2 overall pick and takes Justin, but that would be so interesting if the Texans just completely tank and get the second overall pick, and then you can put Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence in the same division while also like having the controversy over Tua. Oh, dude, you know me, I root for chaos. I root for chaos. Let it happen. Come on, Texans. All you got to do is lose 10 more games.
Which they're too good to do that, but we'll talk about that some other time, a little bit later on in the show. But yeah, nah, man, I just wanted to talk about a week ago, Wisconsin. Yo, really thought the Big Ten was gonna be able to pull this off.
Really thought like
Really thought.
the
You really thought y'all was gonna be able
has
to
the SEC
slide on
canceled?
past. Nah, the SEC's not canceling games, man. They're postponing as much as they possibly can. By the way, theory has it, rumor has it, Martin, second wave's here. So good luck with that, dog. Hopefully everybody's safe and nobody dies and everybody fully recovers from this and doesn't have any of the crazy ass side effects from COVID-19 that we're seeing some NFL players potentially having. And then on top of that, I wish nothing but well-being, but like some of y'all really are like so desperate for things to be normal. It is hilarious to me. It is so soft how desperate y'all are for things to be normal again. So anyway, that's all I had on that. We talking money though.
Yeah, we got a good one. We talking money. Ashton, Ashton and I put the rundown together, we can kind of see what each other is putting in and typing out. I was doing my own thing, putting in like the NFL schedule in the rundown, other things, and like scrolling around. And Ashton was still typing in "We talking money" or "We talking money," while I typed out my what's poppin', my worst of the worst, NFL schedule, UFC nickname, or like started the UFC nickname thing. So like I did 4 things while Ashton worked on one. So that's how this one popped off. I mean, this could have been what's poppin', Ashton, but we saved it for "We talking money" or "We talking money" because the World Series had its worst ratings ever.
Ladies and gentlemen, we already had the ratings conversation a couple weeks ago. So if you want to find out, first of all, the only way to find that out is to go literally listen to every episode that we put out, and maybe you'll find the one about the ratings conversation because I've actually had it when it was just me on the show and everything like that, when it was just me and Leo. But for some reason, we keep having to teach you old men this stupid ass lesson, like that SpongeBob meme. SpongeBob meme. How many times do I have to teach you this lesson, old man? The World Series had its lowest ratings ever. The low before that was 12 million. and it was the one that involved the Detroit Tigers, which, by the way, you want to talk about one of the greatest collapses of a franchise in like Major League Baseball history. The Detroit Tigers went all in on like one season. They had Torrey Hunter, Justin Verlander, they had the Big Panda, everybody who mattered in Major League Baseball, and still lost in the World Series. I think it was in like 5 games too. And then
Yeah.
ever since then, things have been very bad for the Detroit Tigers. But anyway, average 9 million this World Series. The previous low was 12 million. The highest rating was Game 6, which, by the way, if you actually watch the games, which I watched every single one of the games or listened to it on the radio, the games were actually good. Like the baseball games, like it was action. The base running, the steals, the run manufacturing. We got some homers in there. Like it was a good mix of baseball. It was not like 1-0. You can look at the scores. It wasn't like 1-0 type shit or 2-0 type stuff. It was back and forth. It was a story being told, and I like that. And it was fun. It's nowhere near like Game 6 of the World Series with the Astros when they played the Yankees and homers galore or whatever it was in that situation. But yeah, 12 million was the lowest that's ever been averaged for the World Series. 9 million is what this one averaged. 12 million is the highest that any individual game reached, and it was Game 6 of the World Series. I just want you to think about this. On the internets, on the web, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, it's a lot of dumb casual sports fans that don't know what the fuck they're talking about. It's a lot of dudes that don't understand human beings. They don't understand the importance of a pattern. They don't understand the importance of a schedule. They don't understand the importance of availability and accessibility to the ability to watch the game. I'll point this out. People were tap dancing on the NBA's grave when they saw that story from Reuters come out, and they're like, the NBA lost $1.5 billion in revenue, which, by the way, they made $8.5 billion last year. So I think $1.5 billion, they'll live. They'll live. They'll be fine. I would like to also point out they lost that $1.5 billion, including paying for everything that went into the bubble. So that's $200 million that they spent on the bubble. So they actually, and then on top of that, the other things that go into it, on average, the number of regular season games that all 30 teams missed after the shutdown, which was in March, by the way, Martin, March of last year is when the NBA shut down. It's crazy to think about. This year, March of this year is when the NBA shut down. And since that point, there were 17 regular season games missed for the most part for each individual NBA franchise. So that's 17. Martin, get your calculator out. This is we got to do some math here.
Hold on.
17 games missed. There are 30 teams in the NBA. They all get like different amounts of ticket revenue, but on average, they average $1.5 million just off gate revenue for people coming in buying a ticket to the game. 1.5 million, right? That's not including the ad space that gets sold. That's not including concessions, jersey sales, all that kind of shit like that goes into the game. On average, on an NBA night, $1.5 million is made. 30 teams in the NBA times 17. Martin, just do that one for me. How many is that?
If I did it right, it's 765 million.
Yes.
It's 510 or 30 games.
510 is the number of regular season games if you took all the games that were missed. If each team missed 17 games, which some missed more, some missed less, but for the most part, it's like right around 17. Yeah. It's 510 regular season games that had no ticket revenue, no concession stands, that had no parking, that had no parking money made off the parking lot, that had no food bought or anything like that. 510 games in total that were missed on that money. And then you take that and you multiply it times the average amount of money that's made at an NBA game, and it's 1.5 million.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, $765 million.
Almost $1 billion lost in just the regular season. Plus the $200 million from the bubble. And all they lost was $1.5 billion. And you guys got nerve enough to open your mouth and talk about how once you go woke, you go broke. And it brings me to my next point. apparently Major League Baseball is super woke, Martin. Do
Yeah,
you
that's what
recall
the joke I
any?
was making earlier.
Yeah, do you recall anything that Major League Baseball has done in terms of like the Black Lives Matter movement? Did they put a? They, you know what they did, Martin? Each one of those teams put out the letterhead, right? Oh, you know what I remember? I remember the Boston Red Sox finally admitting that they have fans who regularly call black players from different teams nigger from the crowd, which we already knew. I've never been to Fenway Park a single day in my life. Martin, have you ever been to Fenway?
Nope, I wish I
Did
could
you
go.
know that? Did you know that
Oh
piece
yeah,
of
for sure.
information that the Red Sox
100%.
admitted to? Yeah.
100%.
Don't you find that weird? But yeah, like Major League Baseball basically did nothing in regards to Black Lives Matter, and a lot of the individual players chose to kneel. To their credit, shout out to them for doing that. Shout out to them for representing. Shout out for them. Shout out to them for being a part of or trying to be a part of change. Same thing for the NHL players. Nobody's talking about the NHL, but the same shit happened in the NHL. They fell off a fucking cliff. That the it's just guys, it's it's not what you want it to be. It's what reality is. It's the fact that there were games that teams missed. There were Martin. There were 22 franchises that were invited to the bubble, right?
Yeah.
There are 30 franchises in the NBA. That's 8 teams who didn't get to go to the bubble and make any more revenue since March of this year. There are when we got to the playoffs, there was 18, so there was 16, right? There were 16 teams. We had one play-in game, which is cool. We had one play-in game, which I'm assuming is going to be a part of like the regular season coming forward, like to decide what the A seed is going to be. So that's 16 minus 22. That's
Made it
4
interesting.
plus the other. That's 6 more teams that played a grand total of 8 more games with 0 ticket revenue. 8 more games, as if that's going to make like a huge dent in the bubble. It makes a huge dent, right? In the bubble, it doesn't make a huge dent. That's 8 games, and then everybody else after the playoffs. There's some teams that didn't. There's some teams that played 12 games when they went to the bubble. And then, of course, you talk about the Heat and the Lakers and everything like that when they got all the way to the finals and everything. But y'all not talking about the teams that got bounced in 4 games. Y'all not talking about the teams that got bounced in 5 games, right? So all this, like you talk about the loss and everything like that, that is hilarious to try and pretend that that's somehow connected to something that apparently, Martin, really pisses a lot of people off. And it's like dudes asking for equality. And I find that hilarious. Um, I'm just saying. All I recall, and of course the argument is, and I see this on Twitter all the time, where it's like, oh, the politics is distracting me from the game. I actually heard this from an older white guy yesterday at the cigar place that I go to, and I eviscerated him, right? Like just hit him with the facts, hit him with the truth, because he spends too much time listening to Dr. Clay Travis and Fox News and everything. Which if you go to cigar lounges, you know there's a lot of people that spend a lot of time watching Fox News inside that place all the time. And they love to try and pretend that they know exactly what's going on in sports, and they literally spend 0 seconds other than watching what's on Fox News to understand, which, by the way, indicative of a lot of things that we as a society fall prey to all the time. The fake sports fan, the casuals, as we like to call them. The casuals are really what make the money for a lot of leagues, right? Like the casuals make the big money. And a lot of them were saying the politics is distracting me from the game. This is what actually happened, right, Martin? Phrases on the backs of people's jerseys, Black Lives Matter written on the court, which apparently we could sit here and talk about how some of you guys really don't get that the idea behind writing Black Lives Matter was not support for the organization, but support for the actual phrase of Black Lives Matter. And some of you guys just didn't process that information for some reason, mostly because you chose not. Yeah, because you chose not to. There's that. So that was intentional. That's all that happened. So that phrases on the jersey, phrases written on the court. They forced the owners across the board, if they could, to help people vote, to make the stadiums available as polling stations for people to go and vote, to make places available for drop-off ballots so that people can drop off their ballot to be heard, a part of a democracy and a part of an election like none other before for so many different reasons. Apparently that pisses people off. The other thing that really pissed people off, the millions of dollars that they got teams to they convinced teams to donate to organizations that help for racial equality. The millions of dollars that they themselves donated to organizations to help with racial equality. Apparently that pissed off a lot of people. I don't know, man. It makes me wonder. Like, why you're so mad. Like, what's there to be mad about in what I just read?
I just want to know what their excuse is. Like, if all they say is the whole political side of the NBA and the MLS and all the other sports that were doing
And just
this
so
and
we're
the
clear,
ratings are down.
politics has always been in sports, right, Martin?
Oh,
Like we know
100%.
this.
Yeah. Dating back to like the night, like fucking forever. I mean, the fucking the dudes that fucking went to Hitler's Germany and proved that
Political, yeah. Like
like yeah. I mean, it is what it is.
it's a
But
long-standing history here, like just like in the world, that sports is directly connected to
yeah,
politics. Because guess what? Sports gets people to pay attention, and if you know anything about politics, if you can get your message in front of a bunch of people who don't know who you are but can agree with you, and or you can educate people or like reach a group of people that you never were able to reach before, politicians will be there
yeah,
in a heartbeat.
yeah.
So yeah, go
I mean,
ahead, man.
I've said on the show I'm not the biggest fan of putting politics in sports, but it's not going to deter me at all from watching sports. I fucking love sports. Uh, I just don't like baseball, so I didn't that's the thing. I just didn't watch the Worlds. If the Astros were in it, I would have watched every fucking second. But
You know who
it's
else
not
would
my
have watched every second of Astros
every
versus
fucking body
Dodgers?
else.
Literally everybody else.
Like,
Astros Dodgers, man.
but here's the thing. Like, all they said was that these sports ratings were down because they were so woke. So what's the excuse for the MLB numbers being down? Like, where, I mean, people are turning
What's
off,
the
not
excuse for
never
the
watching
NHL?
football. You're never watching football anymore. Like, you've turned off football because it's too political. I've turned off basketball because it's too political. So if you're a sports fan and you've turned all those off because they're too political, wouldn't you go to the one that everybody can agree was the least political of all of them to
Yeah.
watch? Like, wouldn't you take your viewership elsewhere, or like what? I just want to know, like, why is this the least watched World Series ever? I mean, yeah, it was Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, for whatever reason, despite being a decent sports town, people just don't watch the sports there. I guess I don't fucking know. I'm not from. I've never been to Tampa Bay. I wouldn't. All I've heard is that it's a retirement home, basically, of part of Florida where a lot of old people go. So maybe they're asleep before the games start. Who fucking knows? But I just want to know the people that trashed on the NBA and the other. I mean, the NFL is the NFL. They're going to pull in numbers no matter what they do. But the NBA and all the other ones that were quote unquote political and their numbers were down, what's your excuse for the MLB being down? And my excuse is I don't fucking like baseball. I don't watch unless it's my hometown or like the team that I support. Um, and it is what it is. I mean, it's
Yeah.
fucking ridiculous that people get pissed off over this stuff, and like the people that harp over and get a boner over the ratings are like, you got to be so much fun at parties, man. Like, dude,
And by the
ratings.
way, like
Here's
the
the thing:
people,
ratings shouldn't like as somebody that has worked in TV for 8 years, ratings should not matter. I mean, yeah, that's where the people watch the ads and stuff, but people are still gonna go and fucking buy a car at somebody's Honda Civic dealership. You know, like they don't have to see it on TV. It just helps drive it. But the fact
and,
that
and I was gonna say, and Martin, to jump in there, somebody I saw on Twitter, and a lot of other people I'm sure are writing this too. Like there are people who know that the ratings are bullshit, but there are also people who try and pretend that ratings don't influence money to the teams.
yeah,
Where it's like, no, 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 no. You lead the ratings. You have it written on a piece of paper that you led the ratings.
yeah,
And you go take that to ad revenue places. You go take that to, if you're the league, you go take that to ESPN, who is paying $700 million a year back in like 2012. Because now TV rights are going to start getting in scary territory where we're talking about like billions of dollars or $1 billion for you to be able to own the rights to Major League Baseball, a sport that we just fucking saw, man, took a huge hit. NBA basketball, WNBA, NHL, MLS, NWSL, whatever it's going to be, like the rights to those live sports continue to climb because they have evidence that people are watching, whether it be via streaming, but
mm,
for the most part, via television, right?
yeah. Like
So
if
don't
people
try and
really,
pretend that
yeah,
shit's not real, bro.
yeah,
Like, that's my thing.
like the YouTube TV would not be fucking the lead sponsor of the NBA Finals if people weren't fucking watching.
Right.
Like,
Like,
you don't understand. Like, so many people are watching YouTube TV is trying to drag them people over to their platform. It's fucking some people are just dumb, man. And I
that
mean,
segment was for you, for the dummies out there. I just want you to contemplate that. Like, does it make sense that TV ratings are down, even though, by the way, ratings were down 32% last year for the MLB World Series in 2019, but we don't even talk about that either, right? Like that's inconvenient to talk about as well. But yeah, I mean, just trying to pretend that that's not a real thing is hilarious. Moving on, Martin, we can sit here
Well,
and talk to a blue.
you had one thing typed out here before we did move on, and I
Oh yeah,
100% agree with it. People don't like sports without the energy of fans. Like, yeah, you're tuning in for the sport, but you're also tuning in for that energy of the fans, for the wild, like, the shots of, I mean, shout out to the fucking directors and producers of the shows that are like coming out with unique ways to get from like play, like in the NFL, like you would normally see a play, see some fans, see a coach or something, and then back to the next play. Now they're having to like show one coach, here's the other coach, here's somebody on the bench, here's somebody else on the other bench, and it's like you're not seeing the fans, you're not seeing the like excitement of the game, and that's a huge part of it. And I don't know,
I had
sports with no fans
so I had
sucks.
I had a couple of things to point out here to help put it in perspective for the guys who have like the low IQ in the room, right? That don't know how to look at like what's going on in the real world and see how that affects things on a grand scale and how we all for a fact know that sports like when it comes down to like if you got to choose like decide where money's going to go, like sports is like lower on the tier than anywhere else because it is the toy department of life, as a lot of
Yeah.
people like to talk about, right? I just wanted to say, like, it's weird how pissed off you are about quote unquote politics because I've already mentioned before, like, matters of human dignity are not politics. And
Yeah.
what people were talking about is racism, matter of human dignity, not politics. It's weird how you know that we're currently in a global pandemic, whether some of you want to admit that it is real or not. People have lost family members, they have lost their jobs. So they don't have time to just sit around and watch games. They got to go out here and make it happen by whatever means necessary, right? They don't have the ability to sit down and watch. Some people are getting evicted every single day here in Houston. And they're getting evicted across the country because there's no longer any infrastructure to protect them from federal governments or state governments. A ton of daytime games happened. Major League Baseball was running games at fucking noon, Martin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they were running games at noon. Same thing with the NBA. Same thing with the NHL. They had noon games on. And then the most overwhelming thing that a lot of people just refuse to address is that every sport in this country was going at the same time. Every single sport was on air at the same time because they were all racing to get back to get this money.
Yep.
And for you to inherently think like, nah, man, I think it's really the phrases that they wrote on the back of the jersey or the fact that they wrote Black Lives Matter on the court, as opposed to like real life things that we can quantify, is an argument based in like poor faith. And then on top of that, slightly stupid. Like it's a level of dumb that I can't really fathom because I don't know, man. I get it. Emotions make people do stupid things, and maybe that's what it is. But it's pretty dumb for you to sit here and try and argue that, like, oh man, all those political messages, quote unquote political messages, we don't need to reiterate what I said before. All those political messages are the problem. Also, like Martin said, the energy of like watching sports without fans kind of sucks, especially when you know the crowd noise is fake. Can confirm the World Series like had the blood pumping because they had like actual fans there.
Yeah, so
And
they
when
held it in Texas,
I
so they did the
I
smart thing.
can't, Martin, I will say this: the high of hearing actual people boo a sports commissioner, no matter what league it is unmatched.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It was like 100% pure Colombian cocaine straight to my brain.
Didn't they
Thank
like?
you so.
Didn't they play booze or like did something for Roger Goodell
The,
at the draft? Remember that, or like
oh yeah,
Bud
yeah.
Light, or
No,
like.
they had the video wall, which by the way seems like an eternity ago. The NFL draft. They had the video wall of all the fans, and they were like, he was like, "Come on, guys, you got to put some effort into booing me or whatever." In his basement
Yeah.
with those M and M's, which by the way, like that was a lot of M and M's that Roger Goodell ate when you think about it in the grand scheme of things. But whatever. Moving on.
The dude was snacking.
Media suggestions here, Martin. Yeah, they didn't bring the man some food. He makes $46 million a year. Trying to tell me he'd have a pizza sponsor? Papa John's, everybody. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Media suggestions. DC and Helwani. Martin and I both agree on this one. You should listen and watch it, whatever fashion you need to, on Monday. DC and Helwani. Daniel Cormier, former light heavyweight champion of the UFC, also retired this year. He and Ariel Helwani, who is the premier, like the best reporter when it comes to MMA, and that's unquestioned. I don't like. I get it. Brett Akamoto is like really good, but like Helwani made this shit pop for the UFC. Like they tried to, like the UFC trying to deny that Helwani is a huge part of why they've become what they've become is hilarious to me. But DC and Helwani, check it out on Monday. DC talks about Khabib's legacy, what Khabib is doing now, how Khabib is already focused on like making the next group of guys, getting those guys hyped up, getting them ready for the big fights to get a championship belt and bring it back to the gym. So it was really cool. He talked about that story that me and Martin referenced earlier, where Khabib intentionally he choked out Justin Gaethje using a triangle choke, which is his father's favorite submission, and he did not want to break Justin Gaethje's arm in front of his family. So
yeah, which is
out of
like,
respect, out of respect.
which is so weird. Like if I honestly, that kind of plays into the he's a bitch narrative, but I'm not really gonna go there. I'm not really gonna go there. That
Been
like
retired for a week, and Martin's already back to calling him a bitch.
like when I heard that, I was like, come on, man, it's a combat sport. Like break
The
his arm.
amount
The dude wants to be in the
like
ring with you. Break his arm.
what once again, Martin, the level of domination it takes to be like, no,
Yeah.
I have another way I want to beat you. He basically, it's like literally somebody coming down the court with a basketball and being like, I'm gonna take this shot from the 3-point corner and it's gonna be a fadeaway and I'm gonna drain it in your face.
Yeah.
That's literally what he did. He was just like, you know what, man, that one's it. I don't want to do that submission. I'm gonna do this one. It's that level of domination. Martin just doesn't understand greatness. Maybe he just
I
Martin,
do. I said I wasn't gonna go
I
down it. I just said it plays into the. It could play into that narrative if I wanted to, but we ain't going with that. I've already moved on.
All right. Martin's already. You know what? Khabib's retired. He's got time now, Martin. You
Exactly.
keep running off in the middle. I'm not gonna help you. I'm gonna let you know that right now. So, but yeah, remember Khabib. If you're listening to this, it was Martin. It was not I, Ashton. It was Martin Pape. He's in Austin, Texas. His address is 107. No, I'm just kidding. Moving on.
No, it's all in. That was just in good fun. It's crazy to hear.
Now he's trying to walk it down. Now he's trying to walk it back.
I'm saying all I said was it could play into the narrative if that narrative was still a thing. It's no. I'm no longer.
Okay.
I'm no longer on that train. I've taken all my Khabib as a bitch belongings and my backpack, my luggage, all of that I had on there. I've taken that off, and it's all on the Arizona Cardinals hype train, Ashton, because it is full speed ahead. While I'm sitting here, my Twitter at Martin Pape _ MartinPape_ is still blowing up, Ashton, because the Arizona Cardinals put out a little tweet saying, just basically like listed the fact that Buda Baker leads all safeties in tackles right now, despite missing a game due to injury. And like I said on Tuesday's episode, and like Ashton sort of agreed with, I need to go back and check the tape. I need to get my red flag out and throw the challenge flag to see exactly what Ashton said on Tuesday when I asked him about Buda Baker in the conversation. Because that's all I said. Buda Baker deserves to be in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. I'm not saying he should be.
And then some dude came in off the top rope and was just like, nobody has a bigger impact on their team than Buda Baker. And then I listed 7 other dudes who do. And they were like...
we saw his impact. The game he missed, I believe, is the game they lost. Or one of the games they lost. And then the game before that was the game that he got injured in. So it kind of goes hand in hand that when Buda Baker's hurt and not playing, the Cardinals defense is a lot worse. And it is. With him, they're a lot better.
Without Aaron Donald, the Rams are a lot worse. Without Khalil Mack, the Bears are a lot worse.
Hey.
Without Darius Leonard, the Colts suck a lot more. Without TJ Watt, the Pittsburgh Steelers really do suck more. I'm just saying, man. Like there's other players who fall into that same category. You got to find some way to convince you. By the way, the reason I said the thing that I did say was like, it's week 7, guys. Like, we don't even need to be having this conversation.
Oh, no, it's mid-season. We're mid-season, Ashton. That's when the MVP conversation really...
In a 17-week season, we're mid-season at week 7?
Well, half of 16 is 8, and we're going into week 8. 16
It's
games.
9 weeks.
Well, no,
17.
there's only 16
17.
games though.
17 weeks.
But there's only
Everybody
16
everybody
games.
plays all of their games after 17 weeks.
Okay.
That's what I'm
All
saying.
right.
Yeah,
So
you
in 2
said
weeks we'll have this conversation, and while
yeah.
we're talking about the Cardinals, we're gonna transition to what's going on. NFL Week 8. The Cardinals are actually on a bye week, Ashton. So this is really the only chance I get to talk about the Cardinals until next Thursday. So of course I'm going
Thank
to talk
God.
about the team that I think is going to go to the Super Bowl this year and play the Pittsburgh Steelers. What is it, down in Raymond James Stadium in Tampa Bay, which the NFL just announced today or
We'll talk
yesterday.
about a wild ass time to have a Super Bowl in Florida.
Well, they're saying, I don't know if you saw this. I believe it was earlier today, October 29th, this Thursday that we're recording. The NFL is like working on basically copying what the Major League Baseball did and having fans in the stands, but people are going to be in their own pods.
Yeah, which is an idea that Mark Cuban floated.
Yeah.
And it's like, so the concept of the pod is like you go to the game with your family, and like once we clear your entire family of being like once your family is cleared of being like, hey, we've tested, we've quarantined for this amount of time to prove that we do not have COVID-19, and us going to this game is not going to further exacerbate a global pandemic or whatever. World's gonna be a different place, right? Like it's your family, or like if you choose to quarantine with another family, it's like 8 people or 4 people or however many people it is, and you get to go to the game, or you could quarantine with your girlfriend, all kind of shit like that. That's what they mean by the pods. I don't think it's gonna work, but hey, what do I know? I also don't have the billions of dollars it would take to make that happen, but it'll be interesting, especially considering like Florida's really on this whole like you can do whatever you want, because
Well,
we might be in a totally different world. Like we said, Martin.
in February.
Yeah, in February we might be in a whole new world, and hopefully by February, it's like a lot less people that are not like. Hopefully by February, people stop dying from this, and we stop spreading it. So
Who knows?
that's the plan.
It took 10 months, and I'm not. Should we go down this route? It's been 10 months, and there's still no end in sight.
Well, I mean,
I'll
yeah,
just leave that hanging fruit right there.
there's
Because
some people who are there's some people who there's a lot of people who are just resigned to the fact of like we're never going to beat this, so like why are you guys trying to pretend that we can stop a virus from spreading? And it's just like, I really feel like a lot of people thought that was the case with polio and rickets and a lot of other diseases as well, and malaria. I'm pretty sure a lot of people thought that was the case. Amazing what happens when you actually try. So anyway,
yeah, moving
that's
on.
all I got
What's
on that
going
one.
on right now? It's NFL Week 8, Ashton. 4 teams on a bye. The Cardinals, the football team, which if anybody doesn't know, it's Washington, Jaguars, and the Texans. They finally don't get the toughest opponent. Like they find like this is the one week
No,
where
no,
the
no, no,
Texans can
Martin.
literally just be like, "Fuck, man!" Like just take a breath.
No,
Like, all
Martin.
right,
Now the Texans face their toughest opponent yet.
oh, the trade rumors.
Themselves.
Yeah, apparently
Themselves.
some people are thinking J.J. Watt's on his way to Green Bay.
People talking about Will Fuller getting moved to Green Bay too. It's really weird how that
Yeah.
all.
Well,
I mean, they and on top of that, like the Texans said that they're not in like a sell type mode or whatever. I'm
they
like, I
should be.
mean, once again, like nobody's trying to give anything away.
Yeah.
But if you with the right price, you come with the right answer, like restoration of some draft picks. Will Fuller might be wearing that green and gold pretty soon here, and actually, that would help him. That would help them out a lot because like Will,
Yeah.
this is by the way, Will Fuller's healthiest season,
So
like as
far,
a
yeah.
Houston Texan. So yeah, no, it would be cool to see him go succeed. But I mean, I like him as a Houston Texan, of course, naturally, because he could be a big part of things that are to come for the Texans, no matter how bleak those things may seem right now. But him going to Green Bay, I mean, if Will Fuller can do anything, Martin, it's get away from people.
Yeah.
It's like
And you
get
give him Aaron
separation.
Rodgers. Give him
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers to throw him the ball. Let's see how many fucking 200-yard random ass games in the season he has then. But yeah, the trade
He
rumors
can
are
run the
circling down
same.
in Houston.
I was gonna say he can run the same route the entire game and probably get away every single time. Like if they just made him like, you're running a streak, we're gonna make Devontae Adams run a crosser or a slant, and we'll see what happens. And I'm like,
And I
all
think
right, cool.
the trade deadline is next. By the time we do next Thursday's episode, I think the trade deadline would have already passed. So
But more importantly, today's the last day for you to potentially trade for someone and them be actually eligible to play next Sunday
Yeah.
because you need the 5 days of them being quarantined and isolated and testing negative multiple times in a row for them to be eligible to play for your team. So today's the last day to be able to do that and maybe have them play on Sunday. So yeah,
All right,
just something.
Ashton, let's get right into our week 8 little make our picks, talk about each game a little bit, and then we've got UFC nicknames to get through as Anderson Silva gets set to fight what he is calling his final fight tonight. On Thursday Night Football, it's the Atlanta Falcons heading to Carolina to take on the Panthers. Atlanta's 1-6, coming off an embarrassing loss to Detroit last week, where Todd Gurley accidentally scored a touchdown. We saw the Lions celebrate. The Panthers, they're 3-4, a little on the struggle bus, 2 losses in a row to the Bears and the Saints. Now they're on Thursday Night Football. What are your thoughts on tonight's game? It's watchable at least, right?
Yeah, so this should be an exciting one, mainly because the Carolina Panthers defense, which by the way, doing a lot better than a lot of people thought they were going to be up to. Because you listen to certain people at the beginning of the season, Martin, the Panthers are the worst roster in the NFL according to them, right? And that's why we play the games. So they've gone out here. They've had some guys. You talked about Jeremy Chin a little bit on Tuesday. He's actually performing pretty well, but nonetheless, man, anytime Julio Jones comes to town, we got problems. Especially if you play defense, everybody's got problems with Julio Jones is coming to play football. And for whatever you have to say about the Falcons, man, this is a prime game to be pretty fun for like everybody involved. Like this is a good game to have people go out there, have a good time. A lot of points getting scored, which is what I hope to happen. Christian McCaffrey's not playing tonight. They already said that. He is back from IR, so he's been reinstated for full roster consideration from IR, which is good. Means hopefully that he's 100% healthy because I mean you want to talk about milking it as long as you possibly can, right? They waited till the last. They were like, yeah, no, we're just gonna like wait until we start playing pretty badly, and then boom, lo and behold, they lose 2 games in a row, pretty close ones. That you could argue that Christian McCaffrey out there doing his thing could make a big difference. You know what I mean? Like he's a guy who's worth at least he's another red zone weapon. But nonetheless, man, I expect the Panthers to come out here and win this one. I'm be pretty disappointed if they go out here and lose to a team that, honestly, Martin, seems a little mentally broken. Like they have a lot of really talented players, but they're not a team. Like they're really gifted players. Yeah, a lot of really good individual players. They're not a team. The Panthers are a team that may not have a lot of great individual talent, but they are a team. So I expect a lot of people to be thoroughly surprised at how good Curtis Samuels and Robbie Anderson is because Robbie Anderson finally having that breakout season that everybody's been saying that he's going to have for like 5 years. So he's out here and he's going to do his thing.
Yeah, they actually met 3 weeks ago. Carolina won 23-16. Teddy Bridgewater had probably one of his best games of the season so far. 313 yards, 2 touchdowns. Robbie Anderson had 8 catches for 112. Calvin Ridley is apparently the #1 wide receiver in fantasy this year, which is pretty crazy. 8 catches for 136 yards. But Matt Ryan didn't throw a single touchdown this one. 226 yards, 1 interception. So Carolina coming off a 2-game losing streak. Atlanta just continues to find ways to lose. Ashton, I'm gonna be picking the Panthers simply because they've been I mean, they already won once this year against the Falcons, and it's like you said, Atlanta's just kind of finding ways to lose just a lot of individuals and not a team. And when it's very hard to win when your teams are playing like the squad is playing like that.
And once again, the Panthers still playing for something, man. Like I get it. The wild card spot in the NFC is gonna be wild as hell. It's probably gonna take 12 wins. Like straight up, it's gonna take like a 12-win team to end up getting that wild card spot. No telling what that second wild card spot could look like, but I feel like double-digit wins is. I mean, you gotta be at least 10-6 or some shit like that. Yeah, like it's gotta be so. With the way the NFC West is shaking out, like one of those teams is gonna be a wild card spot, and they could technically be both wild card teams when it's all said and done. Because the NFC, like, there's only so many teams that have multiple teams that are really in the running to end up with double-digit wins, and a lot of them are in the AFC. And you talk about the NFC North, like, do y'all really think the Bears are gonna end up with double-digit wins? Like in the for whatever you have to say about the Lions, whatever you have to say about the Vikings, like the Packers seem like head and shoulders better than what any of those three teams are bringing. NFC West, of course, we can talk about the Seahawks, 49ers, and the Cardinals making it to the playoffs right now at this point during the season. Of course, things could drastically change. We're not even at the halfway point of the year, but the NFC South is like one of the few divisions that's got multiple good teams, man. Because the Panthers, they got to figure out how to work their way around the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who look like they're going to win the NFC South when it's all said and done. And are they going to be able to expose the? Are they going to be able to outlast the Saints as the Saints kind of get worse every game that they play this season, man?
Yeah, it's been weird.
So
Even though
yeah,
the Saints beat the Panthers, so they kind of have that one leg up. But of course, they're division opponents, so they played twice. I'm going Panthers in tonight on Thursday Night Football. Are you picking Atlanta, or are you going Carolina?
oh, we're going Panthers, baby. We're gonna ride it. We're gonna keep pounding.
Yeah.
Hashtag keep pounding.
Uh, Now we move on to the Sunday noon games. Top of the list is the Patriots heading up to Buffalo to take on the Bills. New England 2-4. Buffalo is 5-2. Ashton, for me, uh, Buffalo hasn't really looked too good the past 3 weeks. Of course, they had the two losses, and then they go and play the Jets and don't score a single offensive touchdown. But on the other side of the ball, the Patriots are a bit of a mess right now. No Julian Edelman for a while, so Cam Newton is going to be thrown to. I was about it's
Julian
Nikhil
Edelman's out, so yeah.
Nikhil Harry.
Nikhil Harry, there we go. He's got it.
I was about to say Nkeel, but I knew that was wrong. Nikhil Harry, he's going to be, I guess, their leading wide receiver going forward while
Doubt
Julian
that.
Edelman's out. And yeah, like
I mean, just like based off performance, like doubt that. Once again, the whole steez on Nikhil Harry is that he does not get separation.
yep,
So he's like a contested catch kind of guy. And there's only a couple guys that can really survive in the NFL off that kind of stuff on a consistent basis. But nonetheless, I would say maybe there's an advantage in not having any good wide receivers because like those elite level corners, who do they really have to focus in on key on to take away?
yeah,
The questions run abound. But yeah, this talent depraved because like that's what it really is, guys. Like this just talent talent dry New England Patriots team is going up against a Bills team that is vulnerable defensively to a certain degree for pretty much any position that's not corner, which could lead its way to being a running type game, especially with Cam Newton on his arm. But there's very obviously something wrong with Cam Newton, and it could be a multitude of things. It could be his arm. It also could be like oxygen's ability to get to his lungs and be effective kind of deal. Because I and a lot of other people probably think that there's some side effects of COVID-19 still lingering with Cam Newton, which hopefully is not the case. But nonetheless, it seems like a perfect opportunity to go out here and run through the Bills, which is a weird thing to say with the way that their defense has played the last couple of years. But if there's ever an opportunity to be able to do it, to just run through them, this is it. And that's the way I see the Patriots being able to win the game.
yeah. I'm going Bills on this one until we see Cam Newton return to how he was at the start of the season. I don't think I could pick the Patriots to beat just about any. I mean, maybe the Jets.
So Martin, I think this is it. This is the game that if they lose on Tuesday, we get to clown them for 3 hours.
Okay. So you're going New
I'll
England?
take that. I'll take the Patriots.
All right. Moving on. This one, not a lot to say in this one, Ashton. The Tennessee Titans going up to Cincinnati to take on the 1-5-1 Bengals. As the season goes on, Ashton, it's getting harder and harder to write the Eagles and Bengals records because of that stupid tie. I have to keep like double and triple checking myself to make sure I wrote it right. But Cincinnati, they've been struggling to say the least, though they have been somewhat competitive in almost all of their games so far this year. And the Titans finally lost a game. But again, benefits of having the schedule that they have, getting to play the Bengals. Um, not a lot for me to say in this one. I think the Titans handle this one pretty easily.
Yeah. So remember the two once again. Bengals defense is really bad, and Derrick Henry is really good at hitting people. AJ Brown is also very good at being bigger than your corners. So yeah, man, this sets itself up. This sets itself up to be the worst game for the Bengals this entire season because they like the Bengals are really bad at everything that the Titans are really good at. And last time I said that, they played the Texans, but it's a little different when they play the Texans because the Texans know them pretty well and as a whole, like as a team and everything like that. But for the most part, man, it's been pretty bad for the Bengals, and Joe Burrow's the only bright spot out there. The Titans are gonna tune him up, bro. It's that simple.
Yeah, the last you gotta go look and see who like the Bengals have kind of played this season when they played the Browns twice, who are I mean, maybe week 2 they were a running team, and the last week they were more of a passing team. But they played the Ravens and lost 27-3. I expect it to be sort of along those lines where Joe Burrow puts up some nice stats, but nobody else really has that good of a game. I mean, my fantasy team hopes that Joe Mixon or Giovanni Bernard, whoever gets the start, because Joe Mixon's been hurt. Um, at least they do somewhat something productive. I mean,
Giovanni Bernard
The
and his
Titans don't have
wild
a
ass
scary
mustache.
defense. We can say that, right? Like, oh yeah,
No,
the
they
weird
don't. Like they're
Giovanni
big.
Bernard's
Of course,
mustache rides was going to be my fantasy name for a while. I have him.
nah. But yeah, the Bengals. I mean, the Titans.
They don't have a
Titans
scary defense.
defensively, that the Titans defense don't get pressure. Like that's
No.
what it is. They don't get to the quarterback. Which lends itself to like maybe they have a shot when it's all said and done. But for the most part, man, like if the Titans go out here and lose this game, it's the
They
game.
get
I
they
mean,
get their own
we learn
clown.
a lot. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we learned everything we needed to learn about them. But anyway, moving on. That was a pretty simple one. We're both going with the Titans on that one. Raiders versus the Browns. Two of the most confusing teams in the NFL this season. The Raiders don't really understand at all anything that they do or why they do it. They have Carlos. No, wait, no, sorry, that's the Seahawks. We'll talk about that later. But the Raiders, who played last week with out their entire offensive line because of COVID-19 protocols with contact tracing and stuff like that, but also because Trent Brown actually had COVID-19 as well. And yeah, the Browns. No Odell Beckham Jr. for the first time. Jarvis Landry and Baker Mayfield gonna have to figure it out. Austin Hooper, hopefully at some point will get back involved with this one. This seems like the perfect game for the Raiders to go out here and win because the Browns, like once again, they're a lot better than they've been in the past couple of years because they're able to go out there and beat teams that they're talent wise better than. Defensively, their talent level is not anywhere near the talent level of the offense that the Browns are bringing. This might be a really exciting game to watch, Martin. Like this might be a back and forth type of affair because it's two guys that really the football community questions heavily all the time when it comes to quarterbacks, and it's Derek Carr and Baker Mayfield. In particular, Baker Mayfield taking a lot of heat despite the fact that he threw a game-winning touchdown last week, and nobody's really kind of giving him credit for that. But nonetheless, man, it's been an interesting one as a whole for the Raiders and the Browns. I don't know how to look at this one other than the simple fact of like the Raiders have more stability at quarterback, and it makes me think that they're going to win because of that.
For me, I'm going to look at the defense of the Raiders. The the lowest amount of points they've given up so far this year is 24 to the Saints. Like when Ashley and I say this team is confusing as fuck to figure out, I mean, they're just giving up points left and right to everybody. 30 points to the Panthers, 24 to the Saints, 36 to the Patriots, 30 to the Bills, 32 to the Chiefs, 45 to the Buccaneers. Like, how many points are they going to give up for the Browns? Like, it just so at least 24, right? And the Browns have scored. The only games they haven't scored are their 2 losses, and that was against the Ravens and the Steelers. Do we really think the Raiders are on the level of the Ravens and Steelers? I don't think so. Like,
Yes, the mutual opponents math
well, no,
coming in
it's
here.
not the mutual
Sorry,
opponents.
just
It's
regular schedule looking.
yeah,
Gotcha.
just like how their defense has performed this year, and they're off like the Raiders' offense is random as fuck. I don't know. I If the Raiders come out here and just stomp the Browns, congratulations. But I'm going. It's weird for me to pick this, but I'm saying Cleveland's going to be 6-2 after week 8, which is weird to say out loud.
I'm taking the Raiders, man.
Yeah.
I unlike somebody else in this show, root for chaos. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'll take the Raiders, man. I'm banking on a back and forth type of affair, and I know both of these teams blow games all the time, but I feel like the Raiders may be able to hold on just a little bit longer than the Browns can with the consistency offensive wise, because if there's one thing that's defined the Browns this season is lack of consistency on offense. That's something not centered around being able to run the ball. But yeah, we'll see what happens in that one. That one's going to be an awkward one. Another awkward one coming up here, Martin, because neither one of us believe in the Colts.
Yeah, this is
They
where
are
I'm going
playing the
chaos.
Lions.
This is
Yeah,
where
no, I mean it's not even chaos. Like, we're both going Lions then
oh,
because
I'm 100% like there is
yeah,
no
I
like
mean,
like the Colts
okay, it's not that crazy. They like
the
it
Colts are
looks
the
like the
worst
Lions
for
are.
sorry, Colts are the, the Colts are up there with the Saints as the worst 4-2 team in the NFL right now. Like
Yeah, hopefully nobody's really falling for the okey doke from the Colts, man, because they're really out here. They're selling it really, really well. They just so happen to take off a week that has like a couple of weird finishes and everything like that. They have one of the weaker schedules in the NFL, and lo and behold, the Lions have shown immense amount of promise throughout the course of this season so far, and you got to give them credit where credit is due, man. They had a game-winning type situation, and they put it all together to go out there and get the dub. I respect it. I also believe in Matthew Stafford way more than I believe in Philip Rivers, mainly because Matt Stafford is actually clutch, and Philip Rivers is the exact
the
opposite of
opposite.
that.
Yep, this is gonna go into a fourth quarter game. The Colts will be up by like 7 points or something like that. Matthew Stafford's gonna drive his team down and win them the game. However, Ashton, you brought up my theory on common opponents. This one, it's actually they got two common opponents, and each of them are 1-1. So they both played the Jaguars and the Bears. The Lions beat the Jaguars, lost to the Bears, whereas the Colts beat the Bears and lost to the Jaguars. Makes no fucking sense.
Yeah, I'll ride with the I'll ride with the more complete team, and sad to say that is the Lions right now, especially on
Yep.
offense, man. And their defense is playing like slightly better, and
Yep.
it definitely is influenced by opponent, but like for the most part, when it comes to offense, man, like the Lions. They kind of heating up, bro. Like they kind of heating up right now. But yeah, I'm buying the Lions on this one. I'm taking them.
Same.
Martin's taking them too. Both teams will be 4-3 after this game is over.
Yep.
So
Matt Patricia continues to hold on to his job, and if the Lions win, that's a 3-game winning streak for Detroit. I
yeah, and I
want to
think
know
they
like
come
how
back and
often.
play the Texans. I think
I
after
think
this.
so.
So
I want to know like how many 3-game winning streaks the Lions have had in like the past 20 years.
That's actually a really good question. What is the longest streak the Lions have had in the last 20
Yeah,
years?
like
One. No,
like
no, not how many streaks. What is the one?
there's got to be an
Like,
Elias. The Elias Sports Bureau's got to have like this is one of those games where there'll be some good stats from the Elias Sports Bureau because obviously Philip Rivers and his Chargers days and how he just lost games left and right compared to Matthew Stafford, who somehow is now
is
tied or
one of
in.
the most clutch guys of all time. And
And
like,
he's on like the Lions, dude. Like it's so weird to hear that Matthew Stafford has this tied for the record for most comeback wins, and like are those his only wins in his career, or come from behind wins in the fourth quarter?
nah,
Like
but like
that
you,
makes
if you
sense.
think if you watch the Lions, which I will say for like 3 years, I watched them pretty heavily because I liked Matthew Stafford a lot. It's like you see him. There was like a good 2 3 year span where every game that they played came down to the wire, and you could tell when they weren't going to have it because they would come out and they would get smoked in the first half and they would not come back or whatever. But for the most part, like if they were going to hang with you, they were going to hang all the way to the very end. And they were just one of those teams, man. Matthew Stafford used to do all kinds of wild stuff, like his running. Back when he used to run a lot more than he does now, he used to be all about the QB sneak. He used to be all about. If you guys remember, Matthew Stafford used to lower that shoulder a little
Yeah,
bit back in the day
because that's
because he
what gave
used
him
to
his
do whatever it took.
problems.
Yeah, and he used to do whatever it took to get yards, to get wins, to get. And I'm not saying he doesn't do it now. He just does it in a more intelligent manner. He's also got like more talented players around him. So Kenny Galladay, shout out to him showing up in the nick of time. So anyway, Martin, we move on. We both picked the Lions, Vikings, Packers. Man, what you got here? The Packers shellacked the Vikings the last time that they
Yeah,
played them. So
yeah, that was the start of the Aaron Rodgers "fuck you" tour this year. The Packers had a little bump in the road against the Buccaneers 2 weeks ago, and now they're
and
back on
since then,
track.
the Vikings have done nothing but get worse,
Yeah,
baby. Let's go.
exactly.
Except Justin Jefferson.
I was
Justin Jefferson.
yep, just about to say they found out they have a receiver in Justin Jefferson, but have lost every game except for when they play the Texans. The Packers, on the other hand, um, I think they've still they're obviously just a better team, but the fact that they lost to the Buccaneers, I feel like is kind of added a little bit more "fuck you" to Aaron Rodgers and his attitude towards everybody. So good luck. Minnesota. Good luck. You lost 43-34 in week 1, and Aaron Rodgers had an absolute fucking field day. We're 7 weeks away, 6 weeks past from when that happened. So good luck in this one. I'm picking the Green Bay Packers, and if
Yeah,
it's less
and
than 7 points,
I'll take the Packers on this one, man, just because of the lack of pressure the Vikings are going to be able to generate. Remember, Yannick Ngakoue is not even there anymore, and they weren't
yeah,
doing a good job of getting pressure when he was there. And if there's one thing that we've seen, just like any quarterback universally, their kryptonite is like you make them make faster decisions than they want to make. And there's going to be a lot of time in the backfield for your boy Aaron Rodgers, and that's bad news for everybody. It'll be interesting to see if Aaron Jones plays, but it's Jay Williams, right? Or
Jason something Williams. Yeah, I know
the
what you're talking
backup
about.
running back is, I think it's Jay Williams. I keep hesitating on that. I know he went to BYU. He wears like the number 31, and then they have AJ Dillon
Jamal.
too. So like Jamal Williams, there you go. I went to BYU. Dude's he's represented by Lee Steinberg, so the guy that represents Patrick Mahomes and everything like that. So yeah, Jay Williams is a very talented running back, and you got a chance to see some of that when he played against the Houston Texans. When all the receivers were actually covered, the few plays that they just went to Jay Williams and he killed them underneath. So, but yeah, that's Vikings Packers. We're both going with Packers there just because the talent level between the Packers and the Vikings is, I mean, you could say that the Packers are only slightly more talented than the Vikings, but the fact of the matter is the Packers execute at a level significantly higher
It's
than
Aaron
what
Rodgers
the,
versus Kirk Cousins. Also, you got like.
yeah,
And
I mean,
by the way, I think I might be starting Kirk Cousins in my main fantasy league because of the whole Kyler Murray being on a bye. Let me just go check that real quick. Yeah, I might have to go make it. I might have to make it.
moving on.
I might have to. I picked up Kirk Cousins in my main fantasy league, and I might have to. Might have to
Mistakes
go.
have been made.
Yeah, I gotta go back and look and see who
Security
else.
breach.
Who else is in the
Chiefs.
fucking the pool? This next game action, you already you want to introduce it because it's gonna take you longer to introduce it than it is to break it down.
Yeah, the Chiefs are taking on the Jets, which is really weird because it's the reigning Super Bowl champions taking on the reigning tank champions right now. So yeah, the best versus the worst. Like this is literally the best of the best and the worst of the worst here
Yep.
as the Jets continue to chip people away. Also, early revenge game for Le'Veon Bell. So very quick revenge game for Le'Veon Bell to go around, turn around, and basically pull his pants down and shit on his whole team. So
Yeah.
and also like Martin, you know what this means, right? Le'Veon Bell is the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs this week
Oh yeah.
because he knows
He's gonna call
there's
everything.
no
Yeah.
there's no way the Jets have changed enough of their offense, especially with the way that Le'Veon Bell knew it, changed enough of their offense to be able to not have him know exactly what they're going to run.
Ashton,
So Le'Veon Bell is
you're giving Adam Gase way too much fucking credit to think that he would change.
plays.
Like,
No, I'm just saying there's no way that he's done it.
no,
So there's
dude,
like it's
he hasn't even
legit.
thought
It's
about it. Yeah, like, you kidding me? The
he
only thing
thought
on
about
Adam
you
Gase's
know
mind
what
is
Adam Gase
cocaine.
thought about it just now. He was just like, oh shit, Le'Veon Bell knows all the plays. Did anybody get his playbook when he left?
Really, my only takeaway from this is the game, if you're into spreads and stuff like that, opened with the Chiefs 19 and
19
a
and a
half,
half.
19 and a half point favorites in this one.
The
So
disrespect.
that's all I'm going to be rooting for, Ashton. I'm like, if I'm a better, I know the Jets are fucking god awful, and I know the
Look,
Chiefs
okay,
are the
that
reigning.
awful to lose by 3 touchdowns in the NFL is the
Not even
question.
3 touch. That's dude.
They'd have to win by 3 touchdowns because they have
Oh
to win
yeah,
by
true.
21.
Yeah,
They have to win
19
by
and a
20
half.
or 20. They have to win by 20 or 21. So,
Oh
three
man.
possessions. Sorry, I had to say it right.
Good luck, Jet. Like, the only thing is,
Oh,
fantasy
don't wish
wise,
them
really
luck. They know
quickly.
what they're doing. They know what they're
Yeah,
doing. Like,
fantasy wise, are you? I was gonna say, do you think about not starting any of the starters since they'll be sitting down by the start of the second quarter? But
oh no. What you want to do is like what you really hope is starts to happen is once again Chad Henne. Maybe you bank in on like you're in a 2 quarterback league. You pick up Chad Henne and bank on him coming in the second half and getting another rushing touchdown and then boom. Because I'm just saying like Chad Henne might score more points than some starters this upcoming week.
yeah, the best thing about this game for the Chiefs is that it's in Arrowhead and not on that fucking god awful field at MetLife where
Yeah, for sure. Where
I'm
where
not even gonna
ACLs
say it
go to
out loud.
die.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna say
ACLs
it
go
out
to die.
loud. But I think Ashton and I are both picking Kansas City. If he picks the Jets, I'm gonna walk off and he can finish the show the rest by himself. Next, we've got
Yeah, I'll take the Chiefs. I'll take the
we've
Chiefs.
got
Just so we're clear.
two more noon games to get through. The Rams and Dolphins. We're going to finally see Tua take over the reins for Miami. They're 3-3, welcoming the Los Angeles Rams to town, who, as Ashton mentioned earlier, have Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, and a plethora of other defenders. Like, if there's one defensive player, so here's Aaron Donald for Defensive Player of the Year defense or like statement. If there's one player in the NFL right now that you don't want to play when you're coming off of hip surgery and starting your first ever NFL game, it's Aaron Donald, right? Like, there's no like,
It's guys, it's literally pressure right up the middle.
yeah,
Almost every single play. It's literally the quickest way from point A to point B, and then combine that with Jalen Ramsey will also be defending your number one wide receiver. So good luck,
yeah,
I guess. But yeah, this and the best part about this situation is it doesn't matter how well or how poorly Tua does. He's going to be the starter next week.
yep,
He's not in like a legit competition with Ryan Fitzpatrick to be quarterback, right? They've made the decision that they're going to move on, and on top of that, they're in a situation now where if Tua does suck, it helps them with their ultimate goal of finding Tua's replacement because he will suck
yeah,
and he will go out there and he will lose games. Or hopefully, what really happens is that Tua goes out there and succeeds. Because if there's ever been a quarterback from Alabama that I want to succeed more, it's Tua Tagovailoa because he's gone through so much. I would say he's gone through more adversity than any Bama quarterback has ever gone through. So, yeah, man, and it could be weird because let's be for real. The Eagles are coming up here a little bit later on, and if things go south in their game, we might be seeing Jalen Hurts coming out here and playing a little bit like some more minutes or whatever. And both Bama quarterbacks
yeah.
would be starting in both former Bama quarterbacks would be starting on the same weekend, but or playing in the same week. But anyway, yeah, I'm going with the Rams on this one, man. The defense, it's a Rams defense that has been pretty fucking on point with the pressure this season versus a rookie quarterback. It's hard to believe. Even no matter even like guys, remember even Peyton Manning sucked ass his first
Yeah.
year in the NFL. So yeah.
So this one is a little interesting for me, Ashton, because the Dolphins' defense is legit. I think we can finally like I said it at the start of the year. I mean, let's look at their schedule. They shut out the Jets. They completely shut down the
Unimpressed.
49ers, who
Okay.
the
All right.
Rams.
That's a good pull.
Yeah,
They shut down the 49ers because they got two turnovers from a quarterback who had an ankle that
yeah.
no longer functions.
And the
So yeah.
Rams lost to the 49ers. Let's not forget that. Um, they played really well against the Seahawks, even though the Seahawks won that game. They held the Jaguars to 13 points. They lost by 3 to the Bills, who the Rams also lost by 3 to the Bills. And then the first game of the season against the
Oh,
Patriots.
Martin's talking himself into it.
Oh, I'm picking the Dolphins. They're like
Okay.
I did talk myself into it. That I think they're gonna do it. I'm interested to see how Tua does. If he throws 4 interceptions, does Brian Flores bench him and bring Ryan Fitzpatrick back in, or does he let potentially have Tua throw 5 interceptions in his first start? And that would be, oh, I couldn't even imagine some of the headlines they write about that one, especially since they benched Ryan Fitzpatrick for him. I think,
Yeah, and once again, man, it sucks hearing the story about Fitz and how he felt afterwards and everything like that. But the fact of the matter is, like, they honestly, Martin, it sounds like based off the reason that they made this decision, they could have done this like at week 2.
yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean?
Yep.
They could have done this at like The reason they just did, they were like, we're just doing it now because it's time.
I think they did it because of the bye week, so that he could have 2 weeks to prepare for whoever his first. I mean, it sucks that it's the Rams, but also at the same time, I think a lot of people hype up the Rams offense, and especially this
Oh,
year, they're
I
not as
don't.
good.
So I think a lot of people hype up the scheme, bro.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? They hype up the ability to take simplistic plays, make them complicated for the defense. They hype up the ability to create passing lanes by moving players just running the same route from one spot to another. They hype up the ability to gain separation out of the backfield before the play ever starts. I don't think anybody's sitting out here thinking like Jared Goff is like lighting up the world or anything like that. Jared Goff is going out here and being asked to
The
make
average.
three basic plays. Yeah, like he's going out here and asking to be slightly above average, and I respect that because once again, it's why Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan are so good because they play into the personnel that they have, right? Like this past Monday, they had Malcolm Brown really come back on, right? He had 10 carries and got like 60 plus yards out of those carries, no touchdowns or anything like that. And for a team that has moved on from Todd Gurley, they have Daryl Henderson Jr. They have Malcolm Brown doing their thing. They have a trio of backs that are just kind of rotating through, plus the wide receivers that, like it's literally just Josh Reynolds, right? Like those guys and Cooper Kupp. So it's a good mix of what they do, not necessarily the players that are in the scheme. Although Cooper Kupp is very good.
Yeah, I'm going Dolphins on this one. I think they play inspired now that Tua. I mean, I don't know. There's just something in me that says the Dolphins are going to beat the Rams. Mainly because
Your heart of hearts.
common opponents, the Dolphins have played better against the common opponents. So this is another one of the test of the theory, Ashton. This is the test of the common opponent theory. Last of the noon games, and
which Martin, we should be really thankful for because the Texans are on a bye. That's the game that's going to be on TV for us. And then we get another game. This is free football week for Houston and Texas in general because that means our ABC channel and Fox channel our CBS channel and Fox channel can run a game. So we can have two games at the same time, plus the games you watch on your laptop.
Yeah, and the Cowboys are in prime time for whatever fucking reason, so that game won't be on Fox to dominate whatever opponent they're losing to. But anyways, this game should be a prime time game, especially so Ashton. This last noon game that we're getting to, the 6-0 Steelers, 5-1 Ravens. There's only
two Super Bowl contenders.
There's only of the two primetime games, only one of them is above 500, and the other three. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. The other three aren't even over 500, and they're not even fucking close to being over 500. And they're three NFC East teams. Like, can we get what I said on Tuesday? Can I re-say what I said? Get the NFC East out of fucking prime time. Move all their games to Saturday. Nobody wants to fucking watch the terrible NFC East.
Yeah, man. Like we don't need that. Just put it. I know the league rules say that everybody has to get a primetime game. Thursday night football counts as primetime, guys.
Flex them the fuck out.
Just flex them out. Martin's like, flex them out now. Like somebody runs into the office and they're like, guys, what are we doing?
How are you letting the Steelers Ravens game be a noon kickoff?
Oh man. Anyway, Martin, we don't make the money moves around here. Also, we're
the broke boys.
We're the broke boys. We don't make the money moves around here. That's what the rich people who listen to this podcast take our ideas and make money off of them. Anyway, other stuff going on, man. You talk about Steelers Ravens. Steelers Ravens is like the big thing that we're all focusing on this entire week, and that 49ers and Seahawks are like the two biggest games this week, right? Because it could be a back-to-back. It could be a game where like the Seahawks go back-to-back losses and then everything burns down, right? Everything's on fire. The world is coming to an end, and then it could be the 49ers resurging from the grave because of the brilliance of Kyle Shanahan, who apparently also goes out there and plays quarterback for the defense sometimes, and then he looks at the film and breaks down the problems in the defense. Like legit does that. I read that in The Athletic, like a psychopath. Anyway, Steelers Rams, Martin. This is the number one scoring defense, as in they give up the fewest points on defense, and this is the number one pressure and yards defended defense taking on each other with the Steelers. If you recall, defense is only good when you don't give up points. Just saying. Steelers versus Ravens. This should be a good one, man. I honestly feel like the Ravens have it in this one, dude.
Really?
Because I think the Ravens have the ability to punish the Steelers for turning the ball over. Because remember last week they won by a field goal, right? Like the Steelers won by a field goal. They also had like the Titans took 3 possessions away from the Steelers, Martin. 3 possessions, and they couldn't do anything about it. And I think on top, one, expect to see some hard ass hits. Matthew Judon has already kind of like laid it down a little bit. He was just kind of like, I mean, they're gonna have to show it to us. That's literally what he said. He's just like, they're gonna have to show us they good because I don't believe it. And I was like, oh man, wrestling promo. I love it.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about Steelers Ravens, it is the reason they call the AFC North whatever. Never mind. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that stupid ass joke. But yeah, Steelers Ravens, man. I think the Ravens have the ability to punish the Steelers for making mistakes, and this is like one of the few teams that has the ability to do that. I expect a shit ton of option read on this one because if there's anything that slows down blitzes, it's not knowing where the ball is. And sometimes you can send dudes in there reckless and blitzing and everything like that. By the way, the biggest weakness just so happens to be the biggest strength for the Steelers defense, their interior defensive line versus the interior offensive line, which has gotten significantly worse for the Ravens because of the retirement of Yonda, who, if you haven't checked out his story, he's lost like 60 pounds since he retired from the NFL. And he's just been like riding his bike, like legit in quarantine. He says, like, yeah, like I start off riding like 10 miles a day and then I kind of upped it up and everything like that. And he's just been eating a little bit better. But yeah, Matthew Yonda, shout out to him. But yeah, man, I feel like it's the Ravens on this one.
Ashton, I'm about I'm really 180 degrees away from you on the Baltimore Ravens because I don't think they're that good. I don't think the Ravens the 2020
Life
version
disagrees.
the 2020 version of the Baltimore Ravens are not very good. They struggled they were up against the Eagles and blew the lead, almost a 2-point conversion away from going to overtime against the Eagles. They played the Bengals and Browns. Okay, they did well against those two teams, but those are the two worst teams in their division. They gave up 17 points to the Washington football team. They played abysmal the last big game they had against the Chiefs. And
Time out. So on that Chiefs game, remember, I know I always bring this back to the Texans, and it doesn't make any sense or anything like that. Texans and the Ravens played the Chiefs, right? The Ravens and the Texans played the Chiefs, and the Ravens scored 4 more points, right?
yep,
Texans have also played the Steelers. They lost by a touchdown.
yeah, the
Ravens are better than the Texans, and the Texans were able to hang with the Steelers.
and did Baltimore really look that good in the Texans game? They just did. I mean, they just did
So
what the Texans aren't good at, and that's defend the run.
yeah, and of course, like that's good football, right? Like when you have ability, and on top of that, like, are you really trying to say that they don't have the ability? So what do you think that they lack severely?
Wide receivers.
Yeah, I was gonna say high quality wide receivers to go out there and kill them, right? By the way, that is the matchup you need to be watching the most in this one because it is one of the few times where the Steelers, sorry, it is one of the few times where the Ravens secondary is going to have to face 3 high quality wide receivers. It's like Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey, Jimmy Smith, all those guys up against there. And then, of course, Chuck Clark at the safety position going up against Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, and Juju Smith-Schuster. That is, if you think this is going to be all about running the ball and hitting people hard and stuff like that, like the secondary wide receiver matchup is insane this week. So yeah, it's just true. It's like a lot of really good football players on the field at the same time, and that's the best part. That's the best kind of football to watch. But yeah, just putting it out there. I didn't mean to interfere with your point there, though.
No, it's fine. I just don't think the Ravens are that good. And it comes down to the wide receiving core is very suspect. I mean,
Yes, I'll give you that. I'll give you that without question.
Malcolm.
Yes.
I mean, they had to sign Des Bryant, who hasn't played football in 2 years, who's just to even
By the way,
see how he's doing.
almost was best of the best.
Yeah.
Des Bryant is finally back in the league after running routes on Instagram for 4 years.
If he comes back, officially, if he comes back, and does something, that is definitely a best of the best. But
Yeah,
yeah. I just think top to bottom, the Steelers are better. They've got the better defense. They've got the better offense. But of course, and
the Ravens' biggest advantage is at the position that has the most influence on the game. Okay, so here's the question, Martin. Is Lamar Jackson better than Ben Roethlisberger?
Last season, yeah.
This year?
This year, I don't think so. I think Big Ben's had a better season.
Ben's been pretty bad this year. Like, Ben's been slightly above average this year.
What's Lamar Jackson done this year?
Slightly above average.
Let me just hold on. Let me go find where's Lamar Jackson. So he's completing only 63% of his passes, averaging only 7 yards a pass, averaging 246 yards, 10 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 15 sacks.
That's pretty fucking good. 10 to 2 TD to INT. Also, that's just passing, right? It doesn't have the rushing. I mean, that makes it even more impressive that he just only throws
the team in rushing. 346 yards. Nobody
So
else
he's
is
doing what
over.
he did last year.
Just not as good. Like
Just
not
not
like
as crazy, just not,
yeah.
just not eviscerating defensive players just not taking people's ankles in the backfield. He's doing what he did last year, leading the team in passing and rushing,
Okay, so Big Ben on the other hand is
not
68%.
leading his team in rushing.
No,
You said 68?
yeah, 68. So at
That's the
8
same as
five
Lamar,
percent
right?
more. No, 5% more.
Okay.
He's got for 1,446 passing yards, which is more. Um, he how's because he's played. Wait, how does he
He
got?
has one fewer game because of the schedule.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say because
Oh
his
no, he
yards
has
per
one.
game.
He has one more game,
No, what's weird is
right?
he's 6-0 and they're 5-1, so they've played the same amount of games. But tell me
Yeah.
how Lamar Jackson has 1,135 passing yards, averages 246.8 per game, whereas Big Ben has 1,446 and averaging only 242. That doesn't. Shouldn't he have more per average per game if he's got more? I don't fucking know.
No.
No, okay. But he's got 13 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 8 sacks, and I think he's got okay. So they're actually kind of the same if you're going by like their QBR, like their rating. Big Ben is
Wait, wait,
99.6.
wait. QBR or
It just says rating.
quarterback rating?
It just says
Okay,
passer rating. So I don't know which one this stat is taking it
because
from.
the QBR is the better one.
Yeah. So 99.6 for Big Ben, 99.2 for Lamar Jackson. So, I mean, sort of the same. Big Ben
And then
technically better.
giving Lamar his running ability, you give the edge to Lamar.
Sure. I still think Big Ben's had a better season overall. More,
What we
but
can say, I'm picking the Ravens. Martin's picking the
picking the
Steelers.
Steelers,
We're
yeah.
gonna. It's gonna be a fun game.
Yeah, and
It's
if
gonna
it's
be
a
a fun
six to
game to watch.
three Steel, the one thing I did want to mention about this game is, please stop talking about this as the biggest rivalry in American sports. Um, the fact that that was even talked about and like,
It's Yankees Red Sox. What the fuck?
see,
Like,
like, yeah, like, the, I don't know if Turkey is in the chat, but he is a big Baltimore Ravens fan, and even he was like, it's Yankees
he's
Red
like, y'all
Sox.
reach it.
It's
He's
not.
like, y'all
It's
reach it.
like y'all are literally. And like I had to tell him, I was like, bro, they're literally just putting that out there for clicks and for like people to react to. There's no fucking way. Like, yeah, over the past 20 seasons, they're 10-10 and like this points scored and like they have this like entire graphic of like how even the Steelers and Ravens have been in their matchups.
How about you?
It's
How about we do the? How about we do the count where we talk about how many Super Bowls the Steelers have won and how many Super Bowls the Ravens have won?
yeah,
Where it's like almost the Steelers are a significantly better franchise. Like you're talking about the past 20 years. I'm talking about like the Red Sox and Yankees are like basically neck and neck when it comes to World Series championships, and they're both in the double digits. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Like
it's the fact that it even came out like yeah, it's a great
Lakers
rivalry.
Celtics.
It might be like the current best rivalry in the NFL,
Right.
just because they're kind of two of the better teams over the past decade to 20 years, which is like the the measuring stick for rivalries, I
And
guess.
honestly, like let's be for real, it was the Patriots versus Colts until they fell off,
Yeah,
right? Like
it
so,
was when you and I were in diapers, it probably would have been like the Cowboys Giants. Um,
yeah, when those teams were good.
yeah, exactly.
Or
Back
or
when the teams were good. But yeah, Ashton, I'm going to Steelers. You're going Ravens. We're really have different opinions on the Baltimore Ravens. Um, Interesting game. Noon kickoff. Don't know why
it's
it's
gonna be
not.
fun. It's
Yeah,
gonna be fun.
it's gonna be like the most. I mean,
If there's
see,
one game that you had to watch this entire weekend, it
it's
is
that one.
Steelers versus Ravens.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Now we're on to the
Four more
afternoon
games
game.
and we can plot with 4 more games to go run through these. Let's go.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
do
yeah,
it.
yeah. And we're actually making good time today. Chargers versus Broncos. Both teams 2-4. Um, one team is
Do
actually
you believe in Drew Lock?
no.
Just
After what
also the Chargers are immensely more talented on both
I
sides of
was
the ball than the
that's what I was gonna say.
Broncos.
The Chargers are like they're both have the same record, but have the Chargers not been the better team in that in the past 6 games in the Broncos? Um, what's going to happen at running back? Is Philip Lindsay still in the concussion protocol?
Yeah,
Melvin
for them,
Gordon,
they're probably going to run Melvin Gordon until he gets suspended. So,
yeah.
and he could be, he might be their best option when it's all said and done. But
Can the
yeah, I mean,
Broncos stop this Justin Herbert 300-yard
Air
passing
Bear.
attack? The Air Bear himself. I think the Chargers, like you just said, better on both sides of the ball. I'm going Chargers in this one.
Yeah, I'm going Chargers just off the, I mean, defensive presence, right? Like Jared Judy's barely touching the ball now, which is kind of sad because we know he's good. I hadn't touched the ball like a ton, and then combine that with, you know, Noah Fant's been hurt the entire season, and Tim Patrick's done pretty decent. But I have faith in the Chargers defense to go out here and do their thing, which they've done pretty successfully. But I expect the Broncos to put up a fight on defense because that's like their best asset. Like, to be honest with you, right now, their defense is playing way better than their offense is. But
Won't be a
yeah,
good
they
luck.
don't.
It won't be a good luck for Drew Lock if he loses to the rookie and Justin Herbert. Move along now to the Saints and Bears. New Orleans 4-2. Chicago somehow 5-2. Somebody fucking please explain to me how the goddamn Bears are as good as, or their record is what it
Defense
is.
wins championships.
That is true, but I mean, can the Texans please play the Bears schedule? Lions,
Oh, you don't want
Giants,
that.
Falcons, Colts, but oh yeah, they'd probably be 0-6 to be honest, 0-7 going into the bye
Oh, I
week.
thought you meant play the Bears. I was like, I don't think the Texans
No,
can
no.
beat the Bears right now.
All right. I mean, we're gonna find out if the Texans can beat the Lions. The Texans might be able to beat the Giants. They'd probably lose to the Falcons. They're
Might.
going to lose to the Colts. They're gonna lose. They would lose to the Buccaneers. They would lose to the Panthers.
So
They would lose to
yeah,
the
no.
Rams. I don't. I don't.
You that Colts loss, man. Like, I don't know how. Like, Mark, I guess we'll find out. We're gonna find out
The
this week. You'll see.
defense
You'll
isn't
see.
like.
You'll see.
I can't give the defense credit or like a win or like the edge in any fucking matchup this year. Their defense is
But my question is like,
atrocious.
when have the Colts offensively ever shown you they have enough pace to be able to set a pace that the Texans can't hang
They
with?
just have to run the ball.
Okay, I guess, man. If you
I
want
mean,
to take time out the clock, sure. But
that's
I'm
all
just
they have to
saying,
do is run the ball. Like, yeah,
we'll see. We'll see at some point. They play them twice. One of those is a loss because they never beat them at Lucas Oil, no matter how bad the Colts are. So yeah, moving on. Saints Bears on this one. It's a weird one. The Saints offense, which has been basically running through Alvin Kamara as they wait for Michael Thomas's mysterious injury
he was back in
to.
practice today.
Oh well, that's good for him. Hopefully we can
No
make it through
fights.
practice without any fights.
Yep.
But yeah, if he plays on Sunday, that makes a big difference, man. Because um, there's got to be some kind of value in the fact that Traquan Smith has been like when he was out became the number one target. There has to be some value behind that or something like that. But also Emmanuel Sanders is on the COVID-19 watch list, so he's not available. Fun. Hopefully Emmanuel's gonna be all right as well. But yeah, Saints versus Bears, man. This seems like a perfect setup. Because the Saints defense has been underperforming and their offense has been trying to figure itself out in a weird way without their best wide receiver so far this season. And even if they had their best wide receiver, Martin, um, like it's the Bears defense. Like that's high quality defense right there, man. But I will say there is some similarities between, especially now, with what the Saints run and what the Rams run as an offense, and it could be just enough of a similarity to be able to just completely wipe away any effectiveness of the Saints offense. But I have faith in Drew Brees. I'm gonna ride the better quarterback in this situation, despite the fact that the Bears clearly have the better defense. But if the Saints play defense up to what we expect, not even up to what we expect, if they just play better defense than what they've played the past couple weeks, I take the Saints to win this one, man.
Yeah, the Saints are on a 3-game winning streak randomly, even though everybody can agree their defense has kind of struggled this entire season.
Why does everybody have an easier schedule than the Texans? Oh, right, because the Texans have the most difficult schedule in the NFL.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
This for the Bears, I think what you just said to a T. The fact that the Ram like it's not the exact same, but the Rams and Saints have wanted like a unique offensive system. Um, and
And especially considering like a lot of the throws in the Ram system is short yardage throws because of
yeah,
like Jared Goff's like decision making situation and like everything short yardage for Drew Brees because of his arm situation.
yep.
So
I get
similar.
give me the Saints. Even if Michael Thomas doesn't go, I I'm not impressed with the Bears. Yeah, they've got a fucking sick defense, but I don't Matt Nagy. I don't know if he should have a head coaching job at the end of this year, even if the Bears do pretty well, because I just don't like the system he runs, man. It's too much stupid shit. Just like
Also his offense is like losing talent year by year. Like
yeah,
they're losing guys. Like you talk about like Tariq Cohen being out is a huge blow to them. They've had four of the worst performances rushing the ball ever in the history of Chicago Bears football. So yeah, I mean it eventually bears itself out. But yeah, 49ers, Seahawks, man, we move on. We're both going with the Saints because we just don't have that faith in the Bears
yeah.
offense. Um and if we get burned by Nick Foles again, it wouldn't be the first time, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Like that's the thing. I wouldn't like if the Bears win. Okay, like cool. Their defense probably got a pick six or
Their defense probably got them like twice as many opportunities to score as the Saints did.
yeah, or
Like,
like they'll be the team this week that only wins on field goals. Like
yeah, there you go.
they,
Team that scores 24 points, all field goals.
yeah.
Like, somehow all field goals and
Ne-
a 2 point conversion.
yeah, next on the list, Ashton, is the Seahawks versus the 49ers. San Francisco is 4-3. Seattle coming off the loss to Arizona, they're now 5-1. Um,
This
I
is the show, baby. Last year, these were the two best regular season games of the entire NFL season, and we can only hope that it comes up to be as a fraction of as dope as it was just a year ago. This is going to be interesting because Debo's hurt again. For Debo Samuels is hurt again. Also, Jared McKinnon is going to be starting again because once again, Raheem Mostert out for the season. Right? Is it season or is he on IR? I think it's IR.
wait, which
Raheem
one?
Mostert. Raheem
Oh,
Mostert is out for the. He's out on IR. I think it's long term IR as a matter of fact, not short term like we've seen before. But yeah, 49ers out here. Of course, they've got all the other injuries as well, waiting on some secondary players to come back, which could open them up for some vulnerability versus the Seahawks type of offense. This game's gonna come down to Seahawks defense, man.
he's on
King
short.
Griffin is still
Sorry, he's on short-term
short term.
IR. Yeah,
Yeah, so
short-term
it's the
IR.
3 week one, right?
Yep.
But yeah, so Seahawks, this one is weird. Chris Carson's on the injury report for this game as well. If I recall, he has like an ankle situation going on from last week's game versus the Cardinals. This is another huge NFC West game. It should have been. Hopefully, it'll be the main game that we get to watch. But I have a feeling that we're going to be forced to watch Saints Bears here in Houston and maybe in Austin for you as well, Martin. But this should have been Sunday Night Football. Should have been. It'll be a crazy ride. It'll come down to who's more clutch, and I think that's Russell Wilson.
Yeah, if you're giving me Russell Wilson versus Jimmy Garoppolo and Russell coming off the loss, I think even though he is Mr. Positive, he's going to be pissed off. The Seahawks really think they should have won that game. I've got a sneeze coming here in a second.
And also, I'll point this out on
Sorry.
this one as Martin gets adjusted to the
Ugh.
temperature change here in Austin. It's like, or there in Austin, it was like 42 degrees there. It's like 40 something degrees here today as well
Oh
when the sun
God.
goes down. But other thing to point out here, Martin, like what the Cardinals did to the Seahawks defensively, right? They got 3 turnovers out of Russell Wilson. The chances and the likelihood of that happening again are so low.
So yeah.
And then even with those 3 turnovers they forced, they won by a field goal.
Yep.
It's hard to believe that the 49 and maybe the 49ers will be more efficient with the turnovers they generate because 2 of the turnovers the Cardinals got, they didn't score on the possession that they got. But nonetheless, taking 3 possessions away from the Seahawks offense does a lot. But yeah, it should be. I think the 49ers go out here and win this one because the Seahawks set a pace that they can't hang with.
Do you think the 49ers are going to win?
No, Seahawks. That's
Oh.
it. Oh, sorry. The Seahawks win because they set a pace that the 49ers cannot hang with.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say you're going
Yeah.
against your Super Bowl pick or after one loss. No. I think Seattle is the better team. Yeah, their defense is a little lackluster, but where they're lackluster, the 49ers don't normally take advantage. Um, the whole, I mean, their secondary, Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, I hope Brandon Ayuk does something for my fantasy teams, but I don't see him lighten up the defense kind of like DeAndre Hop. They don't have a DeAndre Hopkins. They don't have a Kyler Murray on that side of the ball. They don't have Buda Baker on the defensive side of the ball. So I think Seattle wins this one kind of handle like if this one's close, like if this is even a close game, I would be surprised because I know I'm all Arizona Cardinals and I'm all in on them. It was still a good game against two great teams, two of the better teams in the NFL, and one of them just happened to win in overtime. Where the Seahawks, like, I don't see the. We kind of saw what Russell Wilson doesn't like, right? Like instant pressure in his face. do you see the 49ers defense with all their injuries being able to put up the pressure like the Seahawks did? I really don't. I think the Seahawks win this one handily. Ashton, we've got 2 primetime games to get through, and they're both pretty easy to pick. Sunday Night Football, the Dallas Cowboys. Can anybody name the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys this week if Andy Dalton is in the concussion protocol? Um, Ashton said it on Tuesday, I believe. Um, it's Nathan Peterman's college backup.
Yeah. And by the way, he's probably that random name that if you go to your fantasy leagues players or whatever, you click in the players section, he's like he's top 3 in quarterbacks or whatever because yeah, it's Ben Benucci. So yeah,
Yeah,
Ben DiNucci.
yeah. Good luck. Good luck. That one. The Eagles 2-4-1, Cowboys 2-5. This is actually somehow a battle for first place in the NFC East, Ashton. Um, who would you be more embarrassed of if they lose? The Eagles with Carson Wentz at the helm, or Cowboys with whatever the fuck's going on in Dallas? Like,
Oh, I'm gonna tell you this right now. If the Eagles lose this game, they're gonna burn Philadelphia down.
oh, for
Like
sure.
it'll be like they're gonna have to start having a conversation about like legit taking. I would imagine that it becomes because of Carson Wentz's inability to perform at a high level. They would have to start having a conversation about like, hey man, is Jalen Hurts gonna put it together? And how's he looking so far? But we've seen it. We saw it versus the Giants, and I get it was versus the Giants, but it was still a divisional opponent in a game that was up in the air at the end. And Carson Wentz came out clutch. They had 2 drives in the fourth quarter. They were under 2 minutes, and both of them scored touchdowns. If they can tap into a little bit more of that, which by the way, they will be able to tap into a lot of that because the Cowboys, once again, Martin, not just one of the worst defenses this year in the NFL, one of the worst defenses ever.
Ever. Historically bad. Carson Wentz should have no problem finding.
Oh, and they just cut Dontari Poe and somebody else today too,
Oh yeah,
or
because
yes,
of his weight or like whatever. Yeah, who cares?
yeah.
Apparently Jalen Rager is could be back Sunday night.
Yeah. He's off. He got off IR and could be back. And then they put Deshaun Jackson on IR. Also, there's a couple of other guys too, like it's not Brandon Brooks. Brandon Brooks is out for the entire season, but it is not Lane Johnson.
How many
We know
snaps
this.
does
Jason
Lane?
Peters.
Oh, okay.
Peters.
How many
Jason Peters
snaps
is
does
on good.
Lane Johnson get before he goes out with another ankle injury?
Bro, like I can't imagine how bad it is for Lane Johnson to be like, yo, I can't like
Yeah.
play football on this ankle. It has to be like crazy painful because he's one of the best left tackles in the game. So hopefully somebody stop him before he hurt himself permanently because
Yeah.
you need your ankle even after you
Yeah.
stop playing football. So
Ashton, are you?
yeah,
We're both on the Eagles, right? There's no way you're picking the
yep.
Cowboys.
Time
Okay.
to move on to
Yeah,
Monday Night
Monday Night
Football.
Football, an even better matchup. At least one team's over 500. We got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going up against the New York Giants. Tom Brady versus Daniel Jones. How many times do you think they're going to show Daniel Jones' 80-yard stumble? I'm setting the over at least 4, because they'll show it once at the beginning. They'll show it probably after his first or like as he's coming onto the field. Then they'll show it after he has like a decent run because he's actually had like a 10-yard run in like almost every game this season, which is like random as fuck. But at the same time, it's Daniel Jones. You don't look at him and be like, oh, that guy's a runner. And then also probably like
Damn.
1 or 2 more times towards the ends of the game when the Buccaneers are blowing them out and they have nothing else to talk about. They'll probably talk about like, oh, how the Giants rallied around Daniel Jones after he stumbled on, was it Thursday Night Football? How the fuck do the Giants get 2 primetime games back to back? Like, it, the fucking schedulers are. I mean, I know it's New York. They get the eyeballs. It is what it is. Give me Tampa Bay in this one. Not a lot to say. Even though the Giants have a good defense, I expect this one to be, well, like 20. I don't know, 27 to 10. I don't. That's what I'm putting in as my tiebreaker score is 27 to 10. Ashton.
10 points. What a bold assumption of you to make. Uh, yeah, man. I think this is I mean, we're coming off a game where Tom Brady threw 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, he's clicking.
So,
Things are going like this for the Buccaneers right now.
and the Giants really not gonna put up much of a fight in this one, man. And you guys remember what happened when Daniel Jones played the Steelers earlier this season, right? And he was under pressure 60% of his dropbacks, which is absurd to even think that a quarterback in the NFL can be under pressure 60% of his dropbacks. It's gonna be one of those games. And if you guys know anything about Daniel Jones, his decision making is always a little sketchy in general. Um, versus the Buccaneers, it's gonna be a lot worse. Yeah. So yeah, they've got lockdown corners. They've got lockdown corners on his receivers that most of you have never heard of. So yeah. Other than that, man, I'm going with the Buccaneers. That's it for the NFL picks, man. We move on to many would argue the most important, most valuable part of this entire show. Martin makes people rich off this, man. Martin trying to peep you out of game sometimes. Martin is a big proponent of style, the essence, the aura around athletes in general. But in particular, there's one thing that he really likes the most when it comes to MMA fighters: nicknames.
Yep.
Dope nicknames are like 50% of the fight in Martin's perception. We could sit here. We could
fear. It could put question marks like, why is this guy's that nickname?
And also sometimes just good branding.
Exactly. And then sometimes you get the people that copy nicknames from other people, and we're not allowed to pick them. And I think, what did we go, 3-2 in Khabib's in the UFC 250?
Yeah, 3-2. So we're back on track. Went 0-5 for the first time. Then went 2-3, which is slightly below average because usually the number is like 3-2. Right, like 3-2, and then went 3-2 last week. So we're back.
If you bet on my picks, you'd be sitting pretty right now. I wish we could bet in Texas so that I could be making a little bit of money, But we're the broke boys, so we're getting held down by the man. Let's talk about this fight, which is potentially going to be Anderson Silva's last ever fight.
And versus a guy who at some points has been compared to Anderson Silva. It's Uriah Hall. We'll talk about him when we get there. This first guy, back in Las Vegas, no Fight Island anymore, so all the fun is over on Fight Island, and they'll be back soon, I imagine.
Yeah.
Other thing to point out, first fight that we're going to go with here, I think this is a 15. Let me see. Let me make sure. This is 13 fights on this card. The most important first thing I'm very skeptical of, the first fighter on this one, he's 4-2 and in the UFC.
That's
interesting.
A
little sketch, little sus. His name is Victor.
Agent.
His name is Victor Vicious Rodriguez, though. That's pretty good. Pretty good name. His opponent, Adrian Yanez, he's a former Bellator fighter. Martin, not often do you get fighters from LaPorte, Texas in the UFC. So we got to root for the guy who's from a place that's not too far away from Houston. 11-3. He's got 6 TKOs, 2 submissions, and 3 decisions. All 3 of his losses are by decision. So former Bellator fighter, moving on up in life. He fights at a Metro Fight Club, and he's on a 4-fight win streak, man. So he's got a Michael Rodriguez win, which some of you guys know that name. But yeah, LaPorte, Texas, stand up. We got to represent. Got to shout out for our guy there.
Too bad he doesn't have a nickname, though.
Yeah, exactly, right? So now we move on to a guy who's from Tempe, Arizona. This is a good one. Kevin Quicksand Navidad.
Nice.
Respect on that one. He's 9-1, 5 TKOs so far in his young MMA career, and he is currently on a 5-fight win streak. So pretty good for him. Moving on up, getting into the UFC, getting that big money. His opponent is Miles Chapo Johns.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah,
does that one
Chapo
count, though? Have we had a Chapo, or?
No, Chapo is the name of a drug lord.
I was gonna say, does that count?
I don't think you can discount him. He's from Newton, Kansas, though, which is weird. Fortis MMA is his fight. It's his fight affiliation. 10-1. El Chapo. You can look that up on your own and find out what that means. Moving on. This is fight number 3. Got the ladies for the first time here tonight as soon as it loads up on my phone. There we go. You're going to have to look this one up, Martin. This is Priscilla Pedrita Cochera. She's from like Rio de... She's... What's up?
I think it means like mini or like... You can get going.
Oh, Pedrita. She's 9.
Oh, no, it means stone or rock.
Oh, Priscilla the Rock Cochera.
Oh, Pebbles. Sorry, Pebbles.
Bam Bam? No, doesn't mean Bam Bam. That'd be funny.
Bam Bam was last week.
That'd be funny as hell. But her opponent, and Martin, we got some rock action going on here. Her opponent is Courtney Cast Iron Casey. Nice. The alliteration is perfect
Yeah,
on that one.
that's what I was thinking when as soon as you said it. I was like, that one rolls off the tongue pretty well.
Yeah, and she's 9-8, so she's got a lot of fights. 9-8 though, trying to fight to stay over 500 here. She's from Phoenix, Arizona. She fights out of the MMA Lab, a place that we've mentioned many a time on this show. Her moving on to the next one here. This is a funny. Justin El Blanco Ledet.
El
El Blanco.
Blanco.
By the way, H Town, hold it down, Martin.
Hey, might have to pick him just for that reason.
Yeah, H Town, hold it down. He is 6'4", light heavyweight, and yeah, we might have to pick El Blanco because he is from the H. Got to represent. He is fighting a dude, please, from Dallas. Damn it, not from Dallas. Dustin Jacoby is not from Dallas. He's a former Bellator fighter though, and his gym has got like a very Irishy type name. Finney's Hit Squad is the name of his gym. So 12-6, 8 TKOs. He's pretty good. And he's coming in on a 2-fight win streak. He's actually gone 3-2. I'm sorry, he's gone 3-2 in his last 5. So
yeah, I was kind of looking at El Blanco's record. He's on a 3-fight loss streak though. I don't know.
yeah,
I don't like
yeah,
that. And one of them was a 15-second knockout to Johnny Walker.
Johnny Walker's very good though, to his credit.
True.
People at one point thought Johnny Walker could challenge John Jones. So, but that's not being the case anymore. This next guy though, he's pretty good. He's 11-2 in his career. He does not have a nickname though. His name is just Cole Williams.
Okay.
By the way, Cole, if you're listening, the nickname you want is Train. Cole Train Williams. Oh my God.
What's up?
God. All right. This guy fights out of Glory MMA. He's from Kansas City, Missouri. 33. And it's Jason the Vanilla Gorilla Witt.
We had to kill a gorilla last week.
Yeah, he did. Jason the Vanilla Gorilla Witt here, ladies and gentlemen. That's some good stuff. This one's pretty
tall?
generic.
Like, why is he? No, he's not. He's not even 6 foot.
He's just very white. He's just very white. Very white and very swole. He's got the V thing around his like his abs that point directly towards his junk. He's got that thing going for him. He's only 170 though. I mean, that's pretty big dude, you know what I mean? But you know what I mean. This guy's from Wales, Martin. So I actually don't know Martin's opinion on Wales. He's a guy from London. So 23-9. This guy's got 13 TKOs, and his name is Jack the Hammer Marshman.
Nice.
Jack the Hammer. That's good. Like Jack Hammer. That's good. That's good, awareness. That's good self-awareness. I like that. This is a good one here. This guy is from Riverside, California. I've never heard of his gym. It's called Sequence Jiu-Jitsu. He's 20-3 though. Pretty impressive. His name is Sean Tarzan Strickland. So
is Tarzan does that eliminate him?
Name the other Tarzan. Name the other athlete named Tarzan.
Tarzan, King of the Jungle.
Yeah, but like that's just like a character. I mean, like we disqualify you for having another nickname of another famous athlete.
Okay.
That's what. This is funny. Is this guy from? No, he's from Arizona. By the way, a lot of dudes from Arizona on this card. In case you haven't noticed, this guy's name is Chris Grossmeister. He's from Two Knuckle. Yeah, Chris Mocker. Two Knuckle Sports MMA is his gym, but he's 14-3. Pretty good. But he is coming. He beat Joe Lozano, who's very old but still good. And he's also lost to Artem. Remember Artem, Martin? Yeah. He's Connor's boy that he's been trying to push. And Chaz Skelly, he's lost to him. Love me some Chaz Skelly. Actually, Martin, I was at this fight.
One that was in Houston?
Chaz Skelly is like a teacher by day, and I have interviewed him afterwards. This was the Super Bowl one. It was here in Houston. He fought on that card, and Chaz Skelly got him with a rear naked choke, and he compared it to the pincer maneuver from World War II. He's like, we got him from the north, we got him from the south, and then he tapped out. That's how it went. It was stupid, but it's pretty funny. Shout out to Chaz Skelly. It was a very good time interviewing him. He was a really fun guy. But yeah, that was one of his more recent losses. That was 2017. That was 4 fights ago for him. So it's been like a long layoff for this guy. Anyway, his opponent, Alexander the Great Hernandez.
Nice.
Yeah. Who, by the way, from San Antonio, Texas.
Didn't we have him?
I don't think.
I remember this Nick. hold on, let me click on his name. Did he fight earlier this year?
11-3 so far in the
Oh, he
year. He
did.
fought. He fought in May, and he got KO'd. He got TKO'd, and Herb Dean was the official there. Who was his opponent? Is the
Drew
question.
Dauber. I'm looking at it right
Drew
now.
Dauber.
Yeah.
Uh, and he's fought Trinaldo. I remember this. He's fought. So he's lost to Donald Cerrone. He's pretty good. Donald Cerrone was very good. And then before that, he had like a 6-7 fight win streak. So he was
Yeah.
pretty good.
Good
But
nickname.
yeah, Alexander the Great Hernandez, San Antonio. He fights out of Ohana Academy. And moving right along, we got Tiago Moises. Tiago Moises
Ashton,
from.
you don't even have to mention who's fighting this next one because you already know who I'm picking. Because for the listeners at home, our boy Bobby King Green, or King Bobby Green, however the fuck you want to say it, is back on the card again. Ashton, go ahead, but I'm just putting it
Bob,
out there.
Yeah, Bobby King Green is the next fighter on this one, and he's actually fought 3 times in 2020, and
This is
he
about
has
to be
won
fourth.
all 3 times.
Yep.
He's fought Clay Guida, he's fought Lando Venata, and his last fight versus Alan Patrick was really exciting. So he won via unanimous decision. Bobby King Green is a show favorite here. He's 27-10, and 2020 he's been dominating quarantine. It's basically what's been happening. So. Yeah, but Bobby King Green is a very interesting guy. Another guy who's shit.
Uh,
You just saw the next fight, didn't you? So
now I have.
if you remember, so there is a guy who we mentioned before on this card, who we've mentioned before on the show. Actually, Martin picked him to win. He hadn't won a fight in like 2 years, and it was Maurice the Crochet Boss Green. He is formerly of Tough, the second to last Tough season, the Ultimate Fighter season, and he drank a shit ton on the show and gained a bunch of weight. He won his first fight in pretty dominating fashion, but his time in the UFC has been quite tumultuous. He's been getting better about, getting disciplined and getting focused on his career in the UFC. He won his last fight against a guy who went up in weight, and he basically ate his way up to heavyweight on purpose. And you could tell based off the way the fight was going, he had a sudden, he had like a Darce choke is what he won his last fight with, I believe. But yeah, it's Maurice, the Crochet Boss Green. If you're wondering why I'm giving such detail about Maurice Green, it's because his opponent needs no explanation. It's Greg Hardy. Yes, that Greg Hardy.
Yep, NFL
Yeah,
fans,
that one that you're thinking of. The one from the NFL, Greg Hardy, the guy who has the most punchable face on the planet that everybody wants to watch get knocked the fuck out. He is 6-2 in his MMA career, and also well hated. He knows how to sell it though. He beat Yorgan De Castro in his last fight. He has lost to Alexander Drago Volkov was his last loss, and he had a no contest situation because I think that was the inhaler one, right?
Yeah,
that was the one where he had the inhaler in the fucking corner or whatever to help him breathe a little bit better. And there's no telling what was actually in the inhaler because I don't think they ever actually looked at it. It was just like, you can't take an inhaler in the middle of a fight, dude. Like, people put like all kinds of stuff into it. There have been boxers who put like meth in a water bottle before and drank it to give their fighter like crazy amounts of energy and have them fight really hard in that fight, fight really hard to the end of that fight, and then crashed or whatever. But yeah,
I'm a big fan of Maurice Green's nickname, the Crochet Boss, but
he also does crochet. Like, it's not just like a joke.
Yeah.
He like legit crochets like blankets and quilts and shit, and he like sells them.
Yeah.
I think he like donates them to charity or something like that. So yeah,
it's pretty cool, but I'm not picking against Greg Hardy. I'm sorry.
Charlie, the next fight here. Charlie, the American bad boy, Ontiveros.
Nice.
From Cleveland, Texas, of all places. From Cleveland, Texas. If you, Cleveland, Texas is like a really small town here in Texas, just outside of Houston. It's
all
wild.
the way up to Dallas, right?
Yeah. He is 3-2 in his last 5 fights here. So he's trying to make his moves up the ranks big time here. He's lost all 6 of his fights by TKO. So he goes out on the shield. Moving on here, his opponent, a familiar name.
I was gonna say,
who is from Fort Worth, Texas, Kevin Trailblazer Holland.
Also, so him and King Bobby Green are about to hit their 4th fight in 2020, Ashton.
Yeah, and
It's
remember
crazy.
Kevin had one where his opponent dropped, right? The guy from Houston,
Hmm.
because he had a panic attack going into the octagon, or like right before he went into the octagon, and he passed out right in the back. Yeah. So yeah, he's on a 3-fight win streak in 2020, bro.
And
And
also, really quickly, Ashton, Kevin Holland actually beat Joaquin Buckley, Mr. Viral Sensation, New Mansa himself. So
yes,
gotta
and he
gotta
also
remember
beat
that one.
the Darren the Dentist Stewart, if you
Yep.
remember him. He was
Yep.
a pretty good fighter. That was his last bout. But yeah, he's 19-5. So Kevin Trailblazer Holland versus the guy from Fort Worth versus the guy from Cleveland, Texas. They're not too far apart from each other. I wonder. And we would be remiss if we didn't have one of the greatest nicknames in all of MMA. Let's be honest, Martin. Andre Touchy Feely, ladies and gentlemen.
They actually got, but the co-main event actually has two really good nicknames.
Yeah. Team Alpha Males, Andre Touchy Feely, a guy who many say is maybe a couple wins away from being a title contender if it goes the right way for him. He's 21-7. He has a win versus Charles Air Jordan,
Hmm.
and his last off was to Sodik Yusuf and Shaman Moraes. He got a win versus him, but yeah, he's 3-2 in his last couple of fights here. He's been working his way back up. But yeah, he had a pretty impressive win in his last showing versus Charles Air Jordan, and 21-7 he is in his career so far. He's from Sacramento, California, and like we said before, one of the greatest nicknames in the game, Andre Touchy Feely,
Oh
ladies
yeah.
and gentlemen.
If he
His
wasn't going,
opponent,
here's the thing, Ash. Or go ahead, announce his opponent.
uh, his opponent from Sherwood, Arkansas, and that almost makes you want to rescind his nickname. He's undefeated. He's 13-0. His name is Bryce Thug Nasty Mitchell.
Yeah, if you've seen his interviews and stuff, Ashton, you know who he is. He's a character. I'll leave it at that. Bryce Mitchell's a character. Andre Touchy-Feely, I would be picking you just on the nickname alone, except you're going up against Thug Nasty, who's 13-0. I'm just putting that out there.
Okay, and we move on to the main event. We got a legend on once. Actually, you know what? Out of respect for the legend, I will be announcing Uriah Hall's name first, which is an automatic DQ. So from New York City, it's Uriah Primetime Hall. And if I have to explain to you who the real Primetime is, you don't know sports.
You don't know if you look good, you feel good, or you feel good, look good, feel good, play good, play good, play good. That's the original prime time, not Uriah Hall, or Uriah Hall, excuse me. Um, is the
But yeah, sorry. Automatic DQ. Can't do
yeah.
anything for you, buddy. 15-9. He's got 11 TKOs. He's one of the most talented UFC fighters out there in the game right now. He is going up against a true legend, a man who pushed the UFC to new heights, Martin,
Yep.
with his win streak and how deadly he was in the octagon. Some of the greatest knockouts in the history of the UFC. It's Anderson the Spider Silva, ladies and gentlemen. 45 years old, and supposedly in his last fight, 34 dubs. 34 dubs. Only 10 losses if you count yourself among the men who have ever beaten Anderson Silva. Consider yourself lucky, because Jared Cannonier, the killer gorilla, one of those few guys, Israel the Style Bender, Adesanya, Daniel Cormier, Michael Bisping, Chris Weidman twice, all those dudes, former champions, except Jared Cannonier. All those dudes,
He beat Chael
legendary
Sonnen
champions.
twice. He beat Forrest Griffin. I mean, Dan Henderson. Fuck, dude.
It took a
Damian
literal
Maya,
legend
dude.
of
Like he's got a
one
fucking.
of his losses is literally a legend of the game, Yushin Okami, a guy that is revered in MMA circles. But let me just Martin, let me educate the people here. I got to read these off. I'm gonna read it from the bottom here. 2007, when this crazy ass win streak. Well, not when it started. It was like the important part of the win streak. He beat Rich Franklin, a legend of the game. He beat Dan Henderson, a legend of the game. He beat James Irvin. He beat Patrick Cote. He beat Dias Letty. He beat he beat Forrest Griffin. He's beaten Damian Maya, one of the greatest grapplers in the history of the UFC. Chael Sonnen, Vitor Belfort. He came back and he avenged his only loss at the time to Yushin Okami by beating him again. Anderson the Spider Silva is one of the greatest to ever put on the gloves, ladies and gentlemen, and we have a chance to witness his final bout. Do yourself a favor and watch it.
Yep. Ashton, unfortunately, Anderson
Only
Silva,
5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, we know. It's like
He's
he's
1 and
like
6. 1,
he's
6
one
and
and
no.
four in his last 5. We know.
That don't mean shit. I'm still gonna pick an Anderson the Spider Silva. All right, we're gonna wrap this up. UFC, there's good. Like we had a couple of cards in a row, Ashton, where we struggled to make it to 5. Right now, I'm at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm at 9. I need to cut my list down here.
Oh man, yeah,
Let's
you got
go
to cut that down a
here.
lot.
Let's go to
Well, you
this
can't. I
one.
mean, whoever it is, you can't. I mean, of course, he's going to pick Bobby King Green because ride the hot hand.
Got to.
Bobby King could be fighting in a couple more wins. He could be fighting for a title. We'll see.
Here we go. I got it.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Here we go.
First, starting from the bottom, and then we'll make it to the top. Alexander the Great Hernandez, Bobby King Green, Kevin Trailblazer Holland, Bryce Doug Nasty Mitchell, and Anderson the Spider Silva. He's going to get it done in his final fight. I think Uriah Hall has even said he wants a shot at the title with Israel. You got to get through Anderson first. If it wasn't Anderson's last fight, I may have picked Uriah Hall just based off of Anderson's record over the past couple of years going into this fight. But if
But
it's
out
his
of respect,
out of respect, his final fight, I'm going with Anderson Silva, the Spider, one of the legendary nicknames. You say the Spider, everybody in MMA knows who you're talking about. It's going to be a nickname and a man that's going to live on throughout the eons of the sport, and I can't wait to watch him one last time. It sucks. It's part of life. Everything
it's
comes
part
to
of
an
getting
end.
old as a sports fan, man. You
Yeah,
see the people who made you a fan
yeah.
hang it up.
I I mean, he was probably, if you go back to when UFC, the EA Sports video game first came out, Anderson Silva was my insta lock when I was going up against my friends or whatever. I love Anderson Silva, everything about him. He's got this like cool, calm, collective, but also very fiery and passionate. Like he mixes it so well, and he like, I mean, go and
And
look at
really,
his
what?
Matrix highlight. If you want to see what makes Anderson Silva,
Yes.
go look at the Matrix highlight he pulled off. Um, what was that? That's got to be like almost 10 years ago now. Or like how long ago was that?
Yeah, that had man, dude. Let's see. Now we feel old. Don't think about that. Don't think about that. We're old. But yeah, man, Anderson Silva, one of the greatest to ever do it. And I know he's never gonna listen to this podcast, but thanks to him for, you know, all the years of entertainment. Thanks for all the good times. I like to say that about like pretty much every major athlete when they retire. I'm just like, thanks for all the good times, dude. And I'm sure Anderson's gonna find somewhere else to fight or something like that. But this could be his last fight in the UFC when it's all said and done. And he was one of those guys who came to the game late. He came late in terms of he was like over 30 when he joined the UFC, and the short time that he was here, he impacted it greatly. And he, for at one point, was the most recognizable athlete on the planet because of just the how his knockouts were seen around the world. He was the most dynamic combat athlete on the planet at the time. So, other than that, Martin,
Ashton, if you actually want to feel old, it was 11 years ago when he entered the Matrix against Forrest Griffin at UFC 101. As you take us out, I'm going to be watching this fight real quick, or just the highlight of itself. I mean, yeah, go ahead and take us out.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to download the Thrive Fantasy app. Use promo code BROKEBOY, and you can, especially on your initial deposit, you put $20 in, you get $20 for free. You can use that for this entire week of NFL prop bets and daily fantasy stuff as well. They have esports to go along with it. I know all the other sports have pretty much done, but esports is still rolling on. Other than that, there's only one thing. Really, I need to remind you of a couple things. Wash your hands, wash your ass, wash your entire body. Do me a favor, wash your whole body. But most importantly, stay home, Roger.